And the winner is Arctic Monkeys!
That subscriber content, eh? That subscriber content, it just won't go away.
It might hibernate from time to time and sink back into the swamp. I think the cyclical nature of the universe in which it exists demands it adheres to some of its rules.
But it's always waiting there, just around the corner, ready to make its way into your ears and smash through the gated payment system, sounding better than ever.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Benefits such as getting ad-free episodes a week early with pre- and post-show chat relating to the monkeys, last Shadow Puppets episodes, bonus podcasts, watch-alongs, plus helping us improve our sound with better equipment and services.
Yeah, this podcast seems like it's fading away sometimes, but with subscribers, it will never die. Thank you very much for listening. We do truly appreciate it. Don't take that the wrong way.
Yeah, we'll invoice you for the subscription if we need to.
We're Arctic Monkeys. This is Don't Believe the Hype.
That rock and roll, eh? Ladies! That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question. Cheers, dude. That man just yawned. We're gonna call it
Don't Believe the Hype.
Hello and welcome to Series 3, Episode 10 of Don't Believe the Hype, the podcast that's taking a chronological journey through the discography of Arctic Monkeys. Chronologically, as I said about 3 seconds ago. Weird one tonight because it's Episode 10, but it's the end of the album, which isn't usually the case. So that's interesting little nugget of information. But don't worry, we've got loads more coming for you with me, Nick, and handsome and faceless. I'm only joking. He's only one of those things. It's the man with no face. It's Dan. Hello, Dan.
Hello. How are you? I was kind of hoping
wonderful.
you'd go with like sort of thrilling, the man that's thrilling with the things that he knows or something like that. But no, you didn't. So.
Yeah, I was going to, but changed it last minute, didn't I?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say something like, watching my exit is like falling off fairy in the night, but okay.
Sorry.
But
You can do your own next time, can't you?
Yeah, just, would have been nice.
It's all about our own reviews, mate. I bet the posies wish they could. Christ.
Thought my best friend would have been nicer. No, I'm good, but I'm sad because is ending the album on like track 10 being like around track 10 the new norm now? Are we in the new normal?
I think we're going that way. I think a lot of others have.
Tranquility is 10. The car is 10. Oh, Tranquility 11 actually. Now I think about it.
Tranquility is.
Is it 12?
Is it 12? Tranquility is 11, yes.
11, but I think AM's 10, right? Or is AM 12 actually? No, it's not the new norm.
12. The car is
10. Or is it 9? No, it's 10.
The car is 10. Oh, 9's too short for an album for me.
No, it's too short. Yeah.
As far as
10.
I'm concerned.
10.
And AM is 12.
Where do you stand on Bowie's what's it called? Fame. Not Fame. It's not called Fame, is it? Or is it called Fame? Yeah, the one with Fame and Cat People and Modern Love on and that. There's only about 7 or 8 tracks on that album.
That's about 7 or 8, isn't it? Yeah. I suppose it was different then because it was some of the songs were longer and what have you, and it's got to be cut for the vinyl and yeah,
different rules apply.
Yeah.
So is this do we have another 12er? Do we have another 12 Arctic Monkeys, or are we done now? Did we end that with Favourite Worst Nightmare? I think Suck It and See might be the one.
Is a 12er.
Oh, no,
AM is a 12er.
Suck It and See 11 as well. 12.
Suck It and See is 12 as well, or 13 if you've got the Japanese bonus edition.
I always get disappointed when they release the track listing and there's only 10. To be honest, because I feel like
especially when it's something you've waited years for.
Yeah, 12. I need the 12. I need 12. I want 12 because especially
what have you been doing for 5 years, lads?
Especially when you've heard like 2 or 3 songs before it's even come out. It's like you're down to like 7 new songs at that point. I want 10 new songs, 2 released before, so 12.
Well, this has annoyed me with the new Libertines album because that's not out for another couple of weeks, but we've already heard 4 singles from it, and I'm just like, well,
I don't think that Arctic Monkeys will do more than 10 ever again.
No, I don't think they will.
Unless they go from a sort of experimental stage when they're in like the 60s and they do like a 25-track album or something. But
like the Clash. Oh, I can only dream.
But I don't. To be honest, I'm still thinking of Time and Arctic Monkeys that I'd never realised till you said it, that they've never done longer than like an hour and a half or whatever for a gig, and I've never pulled them up on that before. But I am now. You've brought it up. I'm annoyed now. I wish they'd do 2 hours and get a few more songs in there, because why is it? Why not do longer? Lazy.
Because they are dropping, especially recently. They've dropped big songs from the set for like 1 or 2 nights. So it's like, well, you don't have to do this.
Just play a bit longer. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Maybe they feel they can't play any longer than that. I think 2 hours is fine. You could get another like, I don't know, you get another like 7 songs in there, couldn't you? 6, 7 songs if you do 2 hours. Well, you know, especially now you got 7 album lads. Come on. You'll have 8 next time if you do an hour and a half. Someone's got to give on it. It already has. Tranquility. That's gone.
Yeah.
Apart from 2. Suck It and See usually suffers as well, unfortunately.
Yes.
And Humbug, to be fair.
So.
I think I can only think of 2 from Humbug that regularly get played. Pretty Visitors and Crying Lightning, right? They're the only 2 that regularly come out. Oh, Cornerstone, yeah. Cornerstone even suffered at one point, though, didn't it? Didn't Cornerstone?
It did recently. It got dropped recently, yeah.
Bastards. Just play for 2 hours. We can take it. You play
How
for an hour.
lucky were we to get both Cornerstone and Suck It and See at the gig we went to?
It was weirdly coincidentally lucky, some might say. As if someone...
Sounds like they're listening.
Sounds like they listen. Nobody's listening. But yeah, no. So yeah, no. But this is it's a happy but a sad one because I feel like unlike the other albums, and maybe that's because they had 12 tracks, 13 for whatever people say. This album seems to have flown by too quick, and that's probably why, because there's only 10 tracks. But it's
been quite the journey, though. I think
because we're normally with them for 3 months, aren't we? The albums, but this one's like just over 2, so it's not been as. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit sad because, but luckily the B-sides are basically another album on this one. There's no poor one. There's no one that's like not going to be a great song. All of them could be on the album as far as I'm concerned. Like, not that I'd take any off. Maybe Fire in the Foot for.
Maybe just add some.
I mean, how could you write a song as good as Frightline Dining Room musically and not put it on an album? That's insane. It's literally
evil,
insane. I would have taken Fire in the. I'll be honest. I'll say it now, and people might disagree. I'd have taken Fire in the Foot off and put Frightline Dining Room on.
Well, as we said on that show, on that episode, I think Dance Little Liar does a similar thing to what Fire in the Foot does, but actually gets you there.
Better version, yeah.
So it gets to what you're
Ocean Approaching. You'd like to build you a go-kart. Ding, diddly, ding. And then the dum.
See, I'm in.
Dum. And then there's the end of it is the diddly, ding, ding, diddly, ding, diddly, ding, and then the ding, ding, the guitar like ding, 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 bow, now, now. Perfect. It fits perfectly there instead of Fire in the Foot, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Fire in the Foot lovers, but it's the better option. Maybe I'll edit that in if I get time. Like we did last series. But it's bittersweet because it is also an amazing tune though to do this last one. What are any of the B-sides bad? No, none of the B-sides are bad, are they? And I love Sketched as well. As bad as the B-sides get is probably Don't Forget Whose Legs You're On, and it's a great song. So
it's still great. It's still fit on most albums.
But it's probably the one. If you put a gun to my head and said you've got to lose one of the B-sides,
yeah, that's the one.
I think that's the one. Yeah.
Well, I think at the same time though, I'm getting.
Actually,
it's been
a
bit summery today.
It's a cover.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's great.
I think it's got a bit summery today, so I'm kind of getting more excited for Suck It and See in the summer. I think it's really hit me today that we're inching closer. We're in spring now, and we're moving closer to summer, and that's going to be when we do Suck It and See. It's fallen.
That's kind of when we do Suck It and See. Perfect. It is pretty good, that isn't it? Doing Suck It and See for the summer. Yeah, that is going to be pretty cool. But before we do that, as I say, we got something to talk about even before we get to the B-sides. And no live version of this is there out there that isn't mobile. You flirted with either mobile, but I didn't get a chance to see. You had a little conversation with yourself via text about doing it, and then decided not to do it. So I don't know what happened, but
sometimes I forget you've got a life and you have other things to do. But I just think
I
it
didn't
sets
really.
a dangerous
I was-
precedent.
I was walking the dog and it was a bit windy and I didn't want to get my phone out, if you want the truth.
Yeah, that's like I said. You've got things to do with your life. Just said that, Dan. God.
By the time I'd walked the dog, got in the lift, got back up, took my coat off, got my phone out, you'd gone the other way in the conversation. So
I talked myself out of it. Yeah. No, the only thing so I found a good live version of it where I thought the sound was pretty much spot on. It sounded almost as good as like a pro shot one would. But then I thought, well, no, because then I'll be doing this for every song we don't have a live. And I'll tell you now, the only B side that we've got a professionally shot version of. Do you want to guess? Do you want to take a guess at which of the B sides off this album we've got a proper version?
I know Red Right Hand does because I was there.
Apart from Red Right Hand, yeah.
Oh,
There's several of that, yeah.
I guess it would be professional version of. I'm gonna go in a left field and go Sketched.
You are correct. It is Sketched.
Yeah, I thought they might have cracked that out at some gig or something back then. Because they were doing it. They were doing it like before the encore at one gig, which was mental. So
yes,
yeah,
bonkers. Yeah, I used to love that when they drop a B side into the set. It's good. But anyway, let's have a listen to for 3 hours. Let's have a listen to a snippet of the Jeweler's Hand, shall we?
Oh, well, for subscriber.
Sorry, Dan. Go on. What are you saying?
I was just saying because we don't have a recorded version of it, we found a trailer the band released for a gig that had a little video version of Jules Hand. So for the subscribers only, this will just sound like the track to people listening pretty much. But for subscribers, this is going to be a little video, little treat for you. I know.
Yes. And I've done a bit of research into this. So at around this era, they had like little secret videos on their website. Like if you basically you have to like get lost down a rabbit hole on the website, and like secret videos would pop up if you went like a certain way and stuff like that. And this was one of them.
Right. Okay.
So that's pretty cool. But I'm looking to see if they've got any more.
Because if you want to see it, become a subscriber, and you can do that by going to Spotify and you can try and play one of the tracks that are locked, and it'll ask you to subscribe. Or you can do it on our Patreon, which is Don't Believe the Hype. Or you can just listen to it. But we also covered an album that I won't say whether we liked or not this week by the Posies, 90s indie rock punk band. And this week, to cover at the beginning of our Red Right Hand episode, we'll be doing an album by The National called Boxer. We'll be reviewing, so looking forward to listening to that.
Which I've never been so excited for any of the albums we're doing in my life. I've just looked into this, the Arctic Monkeys secret website humbug promo videos. There are 14 of them in total. We've neglected this for the whole album. I smell a wrap-up segment. Yes, and they're all, each one is between 20 and 40 seconds long. But we have them of every song on the album, I think, apart from. There's a Sketched one. There's no Cornerstone one. But yeah, most of the songs are covered as a couple.
Are they all like 40 seconds? We should have a game. We should have a game with a guest on a wrap up where we have to guess which part of the song they've used for each bit of the promo.
Ooh,
closest one wins a prize.
What's the prize going to be? A Liquor and Lyrics mug. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Awesome.
We didn't really say, but what you this is a great song for both of us, I think.
I've deliberately not been listening to it because I knew I was gonna just get obsessed with it again, and so it's proved.
Yeah, it's I knew I loved it, but then listening to it this week, I think I've fell in love with it in a different way altogether. Perhaps I've reached the peak of the album at the end. I don't know. We'll see, I guess, when we do our lists. But I am absolutely loving it. But we will talk about it in due course. But before we talk about it, do you want some information on it?
The information action ratio, ain't that the place to go?
I'm allowed it on the last episode, right, of the album. That's the rule.
Well, I was just about to do it, and then
There you go.
I talked myself out of it because I thought you'd be like, no, we can't do it. I was like, well, I've never done it, so I can do it whenever I want. I've got a free pass.
No, you've not. You're allowed to do it on the subscriber content or one of the B-sides. So bear that in mind. You're allowed to do it now on one of the B-sides, so pick your moment wisely. That's all I'll
Maybe
say.
I won't do it. Maybe I won't do it now. I feel
Well,
suitably
fuck, man, you
admonished.
never get to do it then. Right. The Jeweler's Hands is 5 minutes and 44 seconds long.
Good length.
Would you believe? Good. Not even going near that. And it has 26.7 million streams on Spotify. So it's the longest song on the album.
That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question.
I just thought it makes more sense for me to click it rather than tell you to click it at this point.
Just mess with the format. It's fine, mate. Yeah.
It just makes sense to me to go. You hit bonus round. It's more of a surprise for you. Then you don't know it's coming. It's a bonus for you
For a
too.
second, when you're preparing to hit the button, I thought you'd had like a severe stroke or something for a second. So
I might have, to be honest. I'm
your
not
face
feeling great.
changed.
I've still got the illness that I had in the Pretty Visitors episode. But so it's the longest on the album, Nick. 5 minutes 44 seconds. What are you saying is the longest on the next album? Suck it and see.
Oh, that's a good question. That I am going to go with. I mean, it's not brick by brick, famously, so we'll get that out of the way straight away. I think All My Own Stunts.
You would be incorrect. That's where you're wrong at 4 minutes and 16 seconds.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that would have been right down on my list of guesses. I was going to go Power Driver Waltz next. So.
That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question.
Hello.
At 26.7 million, this is the least streamed song on the album as well, Pretty Visitors, which is fucking annoying, to be honest. But there you go, least streamed song on the album. What do you reckon the least streamed song on Suck It and See is?
Once again,
I'll give you a clue. It's similar in streams to this song in amounts.
I think, again, I'm going to go with All My Own Stunts again. I think.
You're going with all your own answers again.
Yep.
You'd be correct to do so, because All My Own Stunts is the least streamed song on Suck It and See at like 26 points, something like really low, like 0.46 streams. So yeah.
It's a shame.
It's a shame, isn't it? But this back to Pretty Visitors, back to the Jeweler's Hands. It is 97 beats per minute and is in the key of C minor. The song has been played live 27 times by the band, which is extremely low. Firstly, on August 2nd, 2009, at the Osheaga Festival, Montreal. And lastly, on March 28th, 2010, at the O2 Shepherd's Bush, Empire, London. So it never survived the tour. One of those ones. And now it's time for Hum a Ford a hum. Hummy a 40 hum.
It would fit in really nicely as well in the current sets as well, this song would. I think it'd...
Yeah, it would vibe, wouldn't it? But like you say, if you're only doing an hour and a half, you can't really cram this one in because no one's really going to know it.
Imagine they drop like knee socks for this. People would be up in arms. I wouldn't be asked.
I wouldn't.
Heard it. Done.
I love it.
Done.
I love
this
knee
is
Mr.
Joshua Hom. This is.
Well, I got a surprise for you, Nick. It's Mr. Josh Homme. Yeah, it's Hommy Boy. Homie boy, when I come home, the boys won't leave the girls alone.
Yes,
I am on a lot of pain medication.
Song to reference.
He is handsome. He is he. He's the one from LA City. Right. So, Nick, do you want to know about some gear?
Desperate.
Technological advances really blooming get me in the mood.
Maybe you could do that after it. That could be your one. Stay off my jingles.
Just thinking to myself then. I was just thinking that to myself.
Well, not a lot of information out there for this one, with it being so unpopular, seemingly. But the guitar stuff will be pretty much similar to ones like Dance Little Lie, stuff like that, I would imagine, with that kind of reverby guitar. But this one does use a glockenspiel throughout. And if you want to get the keyboard sound, then just crank a lot of reverb on it, on the keys. So there you go. That's pretty
When
much.
people play a glockenspiel, I just want to say to them, what the fuck's wrong with a xylophone? What's your issue with xylophones?
Rumor has it that it's a xylophone and a glockenspiel used on this.
Ooh.
Which based off our subscriber content that went out a couple of days ago, which was our watch along of the last Shadow Puppets playing in France. They used a xylophone / glockenspiel for art performance, didn't
A xylospiel
they? Xylospiel.
or a glockenphone.
Glockenphone. Fair per xylosteel.
I do. No exotic.
Glockenphone sounds like a phone that came out in the 70s, like the first mobile phone. It didn't work.
Glockenphone. It's like
Glockenphone, yeah.
carry it around on your back.
Yeah, I don't like that. But yeah, not a lot of gear on that. But get your glockenspiel out if you want. Get your glockenspiel out for the lads if you want, and then if you want to have some of the sound for this, which I assume is the well, it says mainly at the end, but I would suggest there's some at the start there, like the.
Yes, definitely.
That just sounded like Heidi Hyde, didn't it?
It did. I don't want to hear that again.
Which is a reference that I bet one of our listeners got, if that.
If that. It was even then. It was probably like, oh, I've heard of that.
I mean, it's
That'll
too
be
old for us referencing, really. But do you want some other reviews?
I do indeed.
Well, you can't have any because there ain't any. There's the good old enemy, of course. Have put this one at number, I remember 83 or whatever. Fire in the Flood was the benchmark. They've put this one at number 44, respectable number 44 on the list. Sometimes
higher than expected.
Higher than expected, yeah. I was surprised, actually. I was ready to be angered, and I wasn't. Sometimes romantic, sometimes frightening. The strangely charismatic The Jeweler's Hands is the swelling peak of humbug. The orchestral flourishes, sputtering drums, and driving guitar perfectly complement each other until the 3 7 seconds minute mark, when the chugging instrumental spirals into something malicious and dark, a psych rock freakout, or a bewildering trick. Yeah, that's quite well written for Enemy, that, isn't it? So I may just like this one because it's popular. So we have people clap along to it at gigs. So makes people happy. So shall we have not the old Enemy? I give respect to the old Enemy. I'm talking about the Enemy post 2000
Yeah, it's gone to shit.
Yeah, AM killed Enemy actually because they didn't know where to go after that.
Yeah, that was it. That was it then.
They invested so much in the
2
band.
years of articles.
Yeah, they don't know what to do. Yes, so music of this one. The music is where we'd like to start. You fan of the music of this one?
It's fantastic. Again, this is the, as much as we've talked about all the way through, even with like Riot Van and stuff, we talked about there being early signs of what they were going to eventually do. But
Yes,
I think this is where it's most pronounced, which is why I said it'd fit in well in a live set at the moment. I think there's more going on here than people give it credit for, and it's absolutely criminal that it's got such a low number of streams. It really is.
It really is. Yeah, I would agree. I think it also would have worked during the Tranquility Tour.
Yes.
But really, the only way to save the Tranquility Tour was to put as many AM songs in between the Tranquility songs, wasn't it? Really, so there probably wasn't much room for throwing in. I mean, we'll save it by throwing in an obscure Humbug track in. People will love that.
Yeah.
But you can,
Jamie, what's the lowest stream track on Humbug? We'll stick that in. Get learning it again.
But I would have it. After Tranquility, the song actually probably. I could listen to this straight.
Oh,
after
yeah,
that.
yeah.
A double bill. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we should start doing that. We should start having little live sessions where viewers can join, where we have little double like pairings of songs that would go nice, like a double bill at the movies, a night of the movies, a night of the monkeys.
Hey Dan, do you like listening to popular songs with questionable lyrics?
You know I bloody do. And Nick, do you like drinking copious amounts of alcohol?
Nah, do I ever? Actually a worry.
Well, if you're the same as us, then come listen to a weekly podcast, Liquor and Lyrics, where we take apart popular music's worst songwriting whilst drinking our favourite drinks, which kind of stay in theme with the song.
From Gin and Tonic to Grease Lightning.
Cosmopolitans with Chaz and Dave.
Blue Lagoons with Busted.
Sex on the Beach with Sex on Fire.
Shirley Temples with Shaggy.
And even a shandy with Sharon.
Dropping on Tuesday the 19th of September and every Tuesday after on your favourite podcast platform. You know what I thought would be a cool little episode for us to do would be if the band were to release a best of, say 20 tracks, I'd want your track listing for it.
If the band were to release a greatest hit, sorry, did you say?
Greatest hits / best of. I think best of. I prefer a best of to a greatest hits because greatest hits is just the singles, but best of, the band normally have more input into it and like pick what they're most proud of.
But that would just be our top 20 favourite songs, so that would just be like doing that list.
No, I don't think it would be because I'd be coming at it. I'd be coming at the angle of using it to introduce new fans to the band.
Well, then depends but then what type of fans are you trying to bring in? You trying to bring in like musos, or are you trying to bring in like
the ones?
Because not every
the ones who are quite happy to pay £5 a month for a podcast like this. That's the new fans I want to bring in.
So the musos then that don't know more about music than us. So not musos. But yeah, okay. That's interesting. It's interesting. I'd have to know whether it's targeting me, if it's targeting other people, who it's targeting before I could do that. Because if I wanted to bring in a commercial audience, that'd be an easy 20 to pick. If I wanted to,
we'll do the logistics when we get around to it.
Okay.
I'd come at it from an angle of wanting to showcase everything they can turn their hand to. That's what I'd want to do.
I also thought something for subscribers today for season 4 we can start doing, which is I don't know why we haven't done this yet, but like on the tracks when they have music videos, we should watch along the music video like the watch alongs we do on our watch alongs and like watch them because we get more interested in now the videos, don't they? So there'll be a lot to talk about throughout them.
And we could even go back to the start, and because we've covered the videos a little bit, but we could still do watch alongs of those videos.
We'll wrap up episodes for this series then. We'll watch some videos. Subscribe. Yeah. The videos so far. Yeah. Could do without the ones from this era though, apart from Cornerstone. But I do, yeah, this one musically is fantastic. I love the intro. It's like so different for them on this album, but also great. I'd say that this is really different to anything they've done yet at all. This song.
I think in terms of the way I've come at this one musically is that the main thing I've taken from it is that there's more going on than you realise. And the next song that I truly feel that about is 4 out of 5, I think.
More going on than you realise.
Where you listen to it either through headphones or listen to the instrumental version, and you realise just how much stuff is actually going on behind there.
I'd have to disagree and go a little bit earlier than that with Star Treatment, but yeah.
Star Treatment is a good shout as well. Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to. But yeah, it's by the way weird for the end of the Dance Little Liar episode. I put in like a sort of 4D version of it, and it was very strange.
Yeah, that was very strange. That was very weird.
It's strange, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, one of us decided to have a smoke for the first time in months at that point, and did not feel well listening to that through my headphones. So I lie down.
But yeah, no, great, really different. Glockenspiel, maybe xylophone with the cool drum intro, that kind of doom, 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 little bit. Yeah, very different for them so far at this point. Goes into a slinky, smooth, chilled tune, though, doesn't it? Really, that's how I describe this one. It's just,
cool.
it's so
Slinky
chilled
is the best way
and
of describing it.
yeah, it's not like any of the tracks on the like Fire in the Flood and Dance Little Lie get close, but this one has a certain vibe that's very different and sustains it. Like the piano is a nice little background underpinning it as well. I love the piano in this one.
It's like it's got the mellow slinkiness of Dance Little Liar or Fire and Thud, but they bring the whole carnival thing into it, the circus thing into it, I think, and that's what elevates it for me,
lyrically and musically.
Yes,
It
absolutely.
brings it in more probably, like front and center, doesn't it? Because a jeweler's hands feels a bit carnivally, doesn't it? Like some kind of attraction at there. But more on the lyrics in a bit. But yeah, no, it's very just got that. There's just something about it. There's just something that with the piano. Is it Alex doing the piano, or is it Ashbo Bashbo? I've got my album sleeve.
For this one, it is Alex. Keyboard, track
nice.
10, yes.
Very nice. That means he did the keys for Pretty Visitors and this, probably the best keys on the album. Sorry, Ashbo, but they just are. But it's, very nice. Very, again, Tranquility vibes with Alex, like playing more piano on it. It's a shame that this one didn't really get anywhere, but live and stuff like that, because I'm surprised that it's not one of their favorites, to be honest. But the delay on the guitar is interesting as well. That kind of very mysterious, very strange sound. They kind of played around with that on one of the earlier tracks, I think. Maybe it might be Dance Little Liar actually, but they've sort of played along with it. It's not, again, it's a bit of a Jamie Cook special, but it's not quite. Not quite. It's got that Jamie Cook special element to it, but it's the delay
It
makes
occupies
it
the
a bit
same
more
space,
mysterious.
but it's not quite.
Yes, it's definitely got Jamie Cook written all over it, regardless of that bit. But yeah, really big carnival vibes. But I mean, we're just pandering. We're just talking about that bass line, though, aren't we?
Oh, no. Yeah, we are.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought we peaked to Dance Like a
album?
Liar, to be honest. Oh well. Yeah, I think it might be. It's funky, but it's also chilled and has a vibe to it. I mean, this whole song is a vibe, which is the same way that I described Tranquility, I suppose. It's interesting that this is the one that connects, I'd say, through the albums, but this is like just a vibe, this one. This is like the most they've captured, like an actual, in the bands that do that, they just like have this vibe to it, like Radiohead, or people like they just have these vibes to the songs. Like this is the first time I'd say they've actually done that at all, actually. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, there's just an atmosphere to the songs, just something there that hangs over it. That I don't think they've done that yet, and it doesn't really go like when you got something like Dance Little Liar, for example, or Fire in the Flood that build to something, and then it kind of freaks out. This song kind of wigs out, but in a different way, as we'll get to. It doesn't feel the need to go rocky or anything. It just has this constant vibe to it, and I don't think they've done that before.
That's like for the third album in a row, it's the perfect closer. Because it's that culmination of everything, all the elements that we've seen over the previous 9 tracks. And then it just all converged. But yeah, like you say, it could easily go a lot rockier at the end. But the atmosphere does it. The whole atmosphere that they've set throughout the whole album brings it up to that level without them having to wig out like on Certain Romance or even 505 to a lesser extent.
Yeah,
They don't-
or just even like
the
the 5
crescendo's very
songs on this
different.
album, Dance Little Liar, Fire on the Flood, they had to go somewhere that built something. This does crescendo, but like you say, it just sustains this kind of mad sound to it. But mad sounds. But yeah, that bass line, I mean, yeah, I think I have to say best bass line on the album. As much as I love Dance Little Liar so much, this is the best bass line on the album, I think.
Absolutely is. Can't argue with that.
But yeah, the verses as well. The Jamie Cook specials come back in the verses. We wrote them off too soon, perhaps. I don't know. When we said about it peaking at Cornerstone, we might have forgot about this one.
Yes, we do. I think everyone just forgets about this song now. I
The
think it's
streams would
just yeah, it just doesn't figure into. Never see or hear of anyone mentioning this song ever. It's like it's just been completely forgotten about.
No, I did see some getting some love, I guess, in forums when I was looking around for information about it, but not a lot. There was a couple, and there's very little information out there about it. I mean, I'll be honest, the fact it uses the word jewelers in it really skewers your information searches because you just get loads of various different jewelers and stuff like that coming up. But I think it's just because it's not it's on an album that got kind of parred off anyway, and it's not like a big tune on that album, and then they haven't played it live since the tour, so these things just tend to get left by the side of the road, don't they? Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately so.
Yeah. Like a dead hooker.
Yes, just like that.
I couldn't stand the fact that I said something that sounded quite good, so I had to ruin it by saying something awful after it.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. We're
People
all
are like,
mates.
oh, no, that's a nice metaphor, left by the side of the road. Oh, that's a nice metaphor, that's good. Like a dead hooker, so we forgot, oh no, yeah, it is him. He is still a prick. But yeah, not. But it builds up to the chorus as well. It's got a weird pattern. It's kind of like opening the verse, then a little bit more to the verse, and then you got this build up to the chorus. It's not even a chorus really in the song, is it? It's not even a build up to the chorus. The chorus is a build up. It's not even a chorus. It just feels like an extension of the verse. It's not a conventional song. This is it. I think that's something else that they pretty much just go like verse, chorus. This is the pattern usually. You got opening, verse, chorus, verse where they add another instrument back in, or they bring an instrument out and it's just bass and drums.
And it's bass and drums,
and then second chorus, breakdown, solo or outro, or solo outro, whatever. Yeah, or both. That's usually even then they're out there ones. That's usually the pattern. But I think this is the first time that I couldn't sense an actual pattern to it. Really, they kind of just.
I would also argue
really
that
chorus,
dance floor is out there in terms of having the solo at the start.
I guess
Dance
so.
floor
Yeah.
has the solo at the start and then the solo before the second verse. But yeah, that's.
I guess
then they go back to type after that. Yeah.
Yeah, but you could argue that it's not a solo and it's an intro, and then they reuse the intro and the song doesn't have a solo at all.
You could argue that.
Argue that. Yeah, so different, but this just doesn't feel. This just feels way apart from them, even on this album. It just feels like this was a like the next album carrying on from this very easily could have just been a collection of songs more like Jeweler's Hands, but it wasn't. Thankfully so, as much as I like the idea of that. Well, I think Tranquility comes. I think this is the song out of all the discography that I could go, oh yeah, Tranquility, probably the most. Yeah. This was an early sign of what Alex would be like on the piano. Again, him writing a riff on the piano brings out a different part of the band. Because whenever he sits down at the piano and writes the songs from the piano, it seems to bring something else out of the rest of them.
And I think you could argue that maybe the best bass lines from songs that he's probably written on the piano. If you look at stuff like 1 Point Perspective and Star Treatment, even though he was the one who wrote those bass lines in particular,
which is still mad.
just fucking It's,
I'd be, if
it's
I
the
was
same
Nick,
way
I'd
I
be
feel
like,
about
"Can we
Bill
keep
Bailey.
keep that quiet, could we?
Yeah. So save some talent for someone else. It's not fair. You're already good at stuff. I bet he's dead good at football as well. Fucking annoying.
But he's good at sex.
Imagine he's not. Imagine
He's really bad. He's really just a 5-second man.
that. Yeah.
I doubt it. He wouldn't have a French girlfriend if that was the case. I can tell you that.
No, they bloody love
Absolutely
it.
not. Yeah.
Second
he
only
won't.
to the Italians. Well,
In
Italian
a
men.
different way, though.
You never
In a
hear of
different
Italian
way.
women liking it. It's just Italian
Yeah, but
men.
when I think French sex, I think passionate, steamy, but kind of thoughtful and nice, and everyone has a good time. When I think Italian, I think passionate, steamy, don't trust what's happened, not sure that everyone's enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't know.
People
why.
watching. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different vibe to that sex. Much like this song, different vibe. But the sort of chorus as well, it has these kind of like gentle strums. Helders is doing the build-up drums. Glockenspiel again. Glockenspiel, the Glockenphone, or the
Xylophone.
Xylospiel.
Which sounds like it'd be a command from the German army during the Second World War. You can imagine the German army major or whatever they have just being like, and they all go over the top.
Over the top. Save the Nazi jokes for over Podnick. I just love this song, man. It's so different. It's not playing to any convention of theirs or anyone else. No one else was doing something like this at the time, apart from one of our artists, which I'll get to. But the structure is different, the feel is different. Yeah, again, yeah. I think full precursor to Tranquility here, really, and also lyrically in a way, because although I have a theory on what these lyrics are about, that I will defend to the grave, and Alex might even back me up with a couple of little hints in the John Kennedy part. More on that shortly. Okay. But I think there's a fantasy element to this in a way though as well. Like whatever the truth is, he's masking it with a bit of the jeweler's hands. It's got this very mythical feel to it, doesn't it? Like this mysterious person. And Tranquility was the first album where he's really got in the weeds lyrically into like fantasy land, I suppose, properly. So yeah, there's just this really cool thing. But after that sort of build up chorus, there's a breakdown, which again weird to just go into from the first verse, the sort of first verse chorus-y thing into a breakdown straight away. Which is just Alex singing with Alex is singing on this song. I think his voice is incredible in the song. I think best performance of his career so far. Obviously, we beat that. We beat that after this.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
A lot. But I think up to this point, I think it beats any of the sort of pseudo rapping. As good as Pretty Visit is, and I think it beats Cornerstone and Secret Door and stuff like that, and Dance Little Liar. I think this is like there's just this like sort of depth to his voice, and like he's like the ferry in the night, or it's like Chills, or what's the line he says? He repeats it before. All drowned. Before Helder's drum roll. Like it's great. It's perfection. I love it. Best performance for me so far.
So I think even with his performance of Cornerstone, I see that as some of his best work vocally, but mainly from the way it's evolved rather than at the time.
Mm.
When I see performances like the one we watched from the last tour, that's the peak of that for me. I don't think he properly fit that song until then.
Well, I think it's interesting that his voice comes out a bit more in the songs that allow him to be a bit more singy. Like, like Cornerstone's not very singy. I would say it's in the pattern of the play, whereas like Only Ones Who Know or 505 or this, where there's this less guitar led, more kind of
He's having to
vibey.
carry it more.
There's room for him to sing. Let's say there's room in the song for him to sing, and he always lives up to it, and he continues to, obviously, as time goes on.
To this day.
Well, I think that in terms of what you said about this song having the pinnacle of all what came before it on the album, but it coming to head like they did with Certain Romance and like they did with 505. I think I would agree with that. I would think that the next album is debatable, but probably does stick to that. But I think after that it probably ends. I don't think AM is the point of that whole album, like influences coming into one song and creating something different. And I don't think that the Ultra Cheese, God bless its beautiful, amazing soul, does not do the rest of Tranquility at the end. Then I don't think Perfect Sense does really either. So this might be the last. And I could argue, really, and we'll talk about this next season, that Suck It and See is the pinnacle of all the stuff coming together on Suck It and See, rather than That's Where You're Wrong. Yeah. But you could certainly give an argument for That's Where You're Wrong as well, because of the bass and stuff like that. But Suck It and See is like, I think it's the best pop song they've ever done, if you want my honest opinion. But it's the best pop song anyone's ever done, Nick, to be quite honest with you.
Ever.
You'll be hearing me ranting for 3 hours about this next season, don't worry. Why that song isn't a fucking mega hit in people's hearts. Like, there's no way that love song is not better than some of the shite I have to hear from Ed Sheeran and stuff. Like, the people going, oh, it's not about building a Lego house. But anyway, you're getting me annoyed. Shut up. More on this next season. Like, why that song isn't a classic love pop song, I don't know. But anyway, because we like to do people down, don't we, in this country? But the breakdown. Go back to the breakdown. I do love this bit though, because Alex's singing is great. The guitar riff with the delay from earlier comes back in. It's like the epitome of like cool. This bit as well. That's another thing with this song. It's also really cool in places as well. Like they've got that kind of swagger back that you could say they don't have as much swagger on this album as they do on previous albums, if that makes sense.
It's one of them songs where I'm sure you'll know what I mean. You know where you've got people coming round to your house and you want to have a song on when they arrive, but you don't want it to be something obvious, but you want it to be something cool. This fits the bill perfectly. Just obscure enough as well.
In this bit.
Yeah, you want them to walk in and go, oh, it was this, I like this. And you're like, well, let me tell you about a little band. In 1986, Mr. and Mrs. Turner had a child.
Get the slideshow out. But
Are you familiar with PowerPoint?
the piano riff in this bit really comes out and shines here as well. That Alex is doing in this breakdown. It's just that whole. I just think it's really cool the way the atmosphere of the song goes. The piano riff, the way Alex is singing it, it's just a great like and the moonlight there more thrilling. These things that he knows, like it's just like I don't know, something cool about it, but it just like gives me chills every time. But this man, okay. I asked you last, and you said it. We were talking about what was our favorite bit of the album had come at the end of Dance That a Lie yet, and we both said no. And you said, yeah, you think last week it had. And you said Pretty Visitors. I can't remember what specifically you said about Pretty Visitors, but that was your favorite moment on the album. You said you were open though to the fact that Summit in Jill's Hands might become. And I said it's not like what's your favorite drum beat or what's your favorite this. It's like a moment. What's your favorite moment on the album? Like there's a moment. Has that changed or? I can't remember what you said. What was it on Pretty Visitors? What was the moment that you said? I can't remember now.
I can't remember now.
Was it Chicken or the Dickhead? I can't. Might have been.
No, it was.
Oh, the drum fills.
It
One of
was
the
it
drums.
was a particular. No, I think it was the before it goes back into the chorus. It was the dun 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 when they go back into. I think it was that, but I'd have to listen back and have a look.
Yeah.
But there was something I had in mind about from this song that I
Mm.
thought would come up in that conversation, and then listening to it this week, my mind totally went blank on what it is. So I'm really hoping it's the same one that you've been thinking of to remind me, because I went into a weird zone with this song this week where I just became fully obsessed with it because
Yeah.
I knew this was going to happen. And so much for you thought you'd never get obsessed. I knew I was going to get obsessed, so that's why I didn't listen to it. And then just this week, I'm never doing that. I'm never doing this again. I'm never leaving a song until the week before we do it. This time, I've listened to this album all the way through without this song for weeks, and then I've just like overfed. It's like when you know. Do you remember when Red Hot World Buffet was a thing? And it was like,
Yeah.
and the first time you know you're going to go, you've got a table booked in like 6 weeks' time, and you build it up to unbelievable amounts, and then you get there and you're like, oh, I don't really want lasagna and curry on the same plate actually,
No,
and you're
that's
just miserable off the back of it.
That's my
It's
problem with
been
this
like
place.
that with this
Everyone
song.
goes, oh, go because you can get any cuisine you want, and it's like, but my problem with this place is I'm going to pay to get all different world cuisines not done well, rather than pay a similar amount of money to go to a restaurant and have one cuisine done really well.
That's
Like,
exactly
I don't need
exactly
like mediocre curry and mediocre pasta and mediocre pizza on the same plate. I could just go and get a really good curry for the same amount or a really good pasta.
Yes.
Like, why? You don't need it. It's too much. Whoever wants that anyway? I go to a Chinese buffet and fill my plate with good.
Exactly. I'd go to a
Like, good one.
food-specific buffet, a cuisine-specific
Anyway.
buffet rather than that.
But
No, it's
yes,
closed down.
it might be, but my favorite moment on Humbug altogether, and it always has been for about, you keep getting annoyed when I say 20 years, so 15 years, whatever, let's go out, is when one would be in my problem, maybe, and I'd say this now, but it might be in like my top 5, top 10 Arctic's song moments ever. But it's the fall off the ferry in the night, and then the bass goes, and they all come back in, and that it's an absolutely phenomenal moment of a song. Like, and I don't understand why it's underappreciated. It's like he just says like, he says the moonlight, it's more thrilling, and then he just says, it's like the exit, it's like falling off the ferry in the night. It's an absolute moment. It's amazing, and I just when I think of this album like that, that's like the first thing that I want to hear, and it blows my mind that it's not a popular song because it's such a good song. It reminds me of that bit though all the time, that kind of the bass and then the drums coming back in. It reminds me of a Back to Black by Amy Winehouse, like not the song, the album, just similar vibe I think between this song and Back to Black the album. There's a shade of the same style in this song with the drums and the bass and stuff.
You think this is the song that sounds the most like it's produced by Mark Ronson without being produced by Mark Ronson?
Yeah. And I actually, Mark Ronson's one of those people that I always feel like I should hate, but I quite like.
Good producer. He's produced
Yeah.
some bangers.
I always think like, oh, normally I'd hate someone like him, but I actually quite like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got nothing against Uptown Funk either.
He produced that, didn't he? But
yes, he did. Yeah.
And was on stage at the Oscars. But yeah, this whole song just it's such a vibe, and that bit is the peak of the vibe for me. Like, it's just like the bass to it. It's the way the song hangs and the atmosphere hangs, and the bass just comes in, and the bass just sounds like it doesn't sound like any bass they've ever done before. And then the way the hip hop, it's a very hip hoppy moment as well. Actually, that's probably why it sounds like that Amy Winehouse album, because that's got kind of hip hoppy vibes, hasn't it, in a way, but in this kind of very different way. I always thought Back to Black and this song has that kind of hip hop mixed with like slow hip hop mixed with indie rock, mixed with desert rock kind of culmination thing. Yeah. And the drums that come in are great, which helps as always. And then I guess this next bit is like solo, outro, chorus, everything, isn't it? But this sort of big bit build, crescendo. Yeah, like it's almost like a gothic sound to me, that this bit as well. It's very like gothic feel.
Haunting.
Very haunting, yeah. In a great way.
I think part of it, I think the backing vocals are very echoey as well. Like that adds to the gothic vibe.
Well, you know, what really shocks me with this, and I was going to say it in a minute, but I'll say it now, is that when Josh Homme, said, he, by the way, at that charity concert that Helders is on, and we might mention in a bit, is he looks fucking old now, man. I saw him in the clip, I was like, Jesus, is that?
He's gone for the goatee as well, hasn't he? Grey goatee.
Yeah, you're seeing like long strands of grey hair. I was like, Jesus. Because I've only seen it, we've recently watched him in a lot of videos from fair enough 15 years ago, but he wasn't that young then. But it surprised me when he said that Fire in the Flood was his favourite song on the album, because if I'd have produced this song, this would be my favourite song on the album by far. Like he mixed this and recorded it, and this outro and all the way this song and the atmosphere, but it's not his favourite one. I mean, I get, you like your favourite's your favourite. You'll have personal reasons for that, obviously, but it just blows my mind from my point of view that he does that. I think it's that thing that we said where, when we say that none of them are overperforming and they're all at a similar level and it's working, like that's when they're always at the best, when there's not like, oh, that's the bass song, or oh, that's the drum song, or whatever. I don't think as good as the bass is in this song, I think, particularly from this point on, everybody's just like smashing it and on the same level, and it's all perfect. Nobody's like the standout. They're just all vibing. The drum roll into it is like that kind of thing Helders does, and the guitar, the dueling guitars almost as well. You got one guitar doing the kind of diddle-doom, the other one's going diddle-doom, yeah, which is always good when they do that. Sounds so different but amazing. The other lead guitar comes in as well with the "Lesson to Meet Me." Now listen, that doing what I love, where it plays along to the singing. That guitar's got this great sound to it as well that I love. That kind of like, there's just a sound to it which is very desert rocky, but in their own way. You know what? You know what this bit is? It's chaotic yet perfectly in order, which is rare. Like jazz, I suppose. Like jazz. Another way to link it to tranquility, I suppose. It's like jazz. It's like jazz songs that sound chaotic, but everything is perfect and well timed. So it's actually not as chaotic as you think it is. It's just everyone's playing really well. It's like a structured wig out.
Structured Wig Out, great band name. Saw them at the Free Take Off.
Yeah, it's it's like, you know, when people get high and have a jam and everyone just like really like a really cool thing. This would be like what you would want to create this bit if you were to get high and try and make an instrumental or something. This is what you'd want. And I think I could listen to this bit, this whole last 2-3 minutes, whatever, because this wig out's a really long wig out as well. I could listen to it without the singing, to be honest, because it's so good. But the Alex's singing in it is perfection though as well, with the ready to learn. He's singing.
Most of the song's length comes from the wig out as well.
I've decided the way that I'm talking about this song, it's brought more passion out of me than any songs of this album. So I'll reveal now. This is going to be my favorite song on the album. Like it's got to be. I've not been so infused by talking about the music on any of them, and I love all the songs in this album, but apart from Fire in the Flood. But this is the one that has brought the most out of me. So yeah,
it's definitely top 3 for me, and I reckon top 2.
I wonder if our list will be much different this time. They haven't been yet. I wonder if that will happen. I feel like it's not going to happen with this one, but I feel like there is going to be a couple of albums where that is going to happen. And if I was going to guess, I don't know why, I got a feeling our Socket and Seas will be quite different. Maybe not, though. That might be a fool's comment, but I feel like our Tranquilities are going to be a bit different, for sure. Maybe our AMs. AM's a bit of a... I think we'll have... AM's a bit of a... Out of all the albums we're going to cover, it's the one that I'm looking forward to covering because I don't know what it's going to bring out. Because I'd really love to fall back in love with it again, like I did when I was like 10 years ago. So, although I hope not too much, because then I'll end up becoming single and
that midlife crisis will come.
Yeah, it'll come, and then I'll quickly regret it because I'll realise that I've not quite got the stature in the dating world that I did 10 years ago. So.
What happened, Dan? AM. Got to AM on the pod.
Just a load of blokes in a pub. AM, yeah, me too. Load of
blokes in a pub, all wearing them American shirts that Alex wore.
Mid-30s, going yeah, AM.
Yeah.
All going to AM support groups. But what did it for you? Knee socks. Yeah. But yeah, no, this song is perfect. His voice, it's got this ghostly, reverby, perfect sound to this. I've decided that from this point, I've changed him from "If You Were There, Beware" being the song that I wish they'd crack out live to this one. I don't even know if I've heard it. I don't even know if this was at the gig that I saw them at. So I don't that you weren't at that. I don't know whether. I'm guessing it would have been. That might have been one of the. But it only got 27 times, so it didn't even make most of the gigs on that tour. Really, in terms of from a worldwide point of view. So I don't even know if I ever have heard this song live, which would be a travesty.
You have. It was number 13 in between Pretty Visitors and Do Me a Favour.
Well, you weren't there, so
I wasn't there.
At least I was. I was like the one person that was enjoying it being played, probably. Or
I'll tell you what was 2 tracks before it, though.
Regular listener and appearance on the show, Matt might have been at that gig because he's from this area, and he probably was carrying the flag for it as well. So there was at least 2 of us.
Yay! There are dozens of us, dozens. If You Were There, Beware was 2 tracks before it. So there you go. You had both of them in one gig and didn't even realise it.
Yeah, well, I did. I just didn't know that it would be the last time.
Yeah.
It's like when your wife dies and you know it was the last time you were going to kiss her in the morning.
Just like that.
Just like that, I imagine.
Just exactly the same as that. Yeah.
Exactly the same emotions. More impactful, this probably, because I'll meet someone else. I can't make the band play those songs again, can I?
No, that's correct. No matter how much you try.
Yeah.
Your letters just get sent back, don't they? Return to sender.
It's the only reason I've started this podcast, and I hope they'll listen and doing it. I'm still waiting for them to they're not the band that need to cash in by doing their old albums and tours like all those shit bands do from then, like that haven't had any more success. Unfortunately, they're too big to get that, so we just have to hope. But yeah, they're too rich to have done any lockdown stuff like that as well. Where on Zoom you could have paid to like watch them do like songs that they don't do because they don't need to do that stuff because they could just do nothing instead of write new music. But yeah, great wig out. This perfect again. Yeah, Helder's doing some great drum fill bits on this. Pretty visitors s just going mad. Again, this feels like the kind of like what it reminds me of, right? And it doesn't have to be drug related, but I'm going to use an example. It could just be when you're a kid, say at a carnival, and the way it feels. When I was at Leeds Fest and took these really strong pills once, and all I remember from that night is music and lights and the fairground they have there.
I know exactly what you
mean. Fire and lights and people talking and music, and that's my memory of it. Is just that, and that's what this wig out reminds me of. Is like just this chaotic like carnival. Yeah, it's mad. Like nighttime. It's got to be nighttime. This song. It's like, yeah, but perfection. We haven't got to the lyrics yet.
It's spot on. Yeah, and it's the fact that how long did it take for Helders to get a mention then as well? Show us how.
And that's from me.
yeah, I know.
If I'm not getting to Helders, then bloody hell.
Well, once again, it was furthering my theory of you having had a stroke at some point because I was like, has he forgotten that Helders exists? Has he?
He's taking one for the team on this one, and just that he's doing that thing that he does on Tranquility, where he's playing really good drums, but he doesn't need to be flashy. He's just making the songs work, which is admirable. But yeah, anything else to say on the music? I think I've waxed lyrical about it, so it's time to lyrically wax.
Yeah, pretty much is.
I'd be a great local DJ. But before we do that, actually, we've got to talk about the covers, haven't we, of the song, actually, haven't we?
I'm gonna form a covers band and all.
I've been umming and ahhing because it was a difficult one to pin down. So I'm going to just say, because I've already kind of half referenced one, which is, I said Amy Winehouse, Back to Black, it reminded me of, and I thought, Amy Winehouse at that time doing a version of this would have been interesting. Similar music with that piano, like the Back to Black with that piano and the drums and the bass and the actual like song, like, and maybe the way she sings could work for it, like that way if they changed it a bit, maybe. But I was also umming and ahhing about whether I'd like to hear a version of this performed by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. See, they were on my list as well.
Yeah, I could imagine that. You could hear it, couldn't you? Because this song lyrically as well gives me Nick Cave vibes. Because Red Right Hand's about a sort of person. It gives me vibes for Nick Cave. This one.
And I was very close to saying Nick Cave, but I settled on. Technically, I've already suggested him for another song on this album, but I'm going Josh Homme, but not Queens of the Stone Age. Not Queens of the Stone Age, Josh Homme. I'm going for Desert Sessions, Josh Homme. I think this would fit perfectly.
Yeah,
PJ Harvey as well.
I actually got excited today because I couldn't. There was no covers for this, but I just did a little YouTube search of the video. It's how I found that trailer, the song title, and a Queens of the Stone Age guitar session came up, a video, and I was like, oh my god, did they do Julia's Hands on this? But it just came up because it's algorithms in it, but they didn't do. I got really excited
by them algorithms a few times this week. After you sent me after you sent me that thing about the benefit gig that Josh Homme put on, and it's a picture. You sent me a picture of Matt Helders and Dave Grohl. So I went on YouTube, searched Dave Grohl, Matt Helders, and the first thing that came up was an interview with Taylor Hawkins and Dave Grohl. And the premise of it is, it's only like a couple of minutes. No, well, yeah. Taylor Hawkins doesn't say much. Lazy.
Was it kind of
basically the interviewer? Yeah. The interviewer is firing band names at them, and they just have to say what they think about the band. And I watched like all 3 or 4 minutes of it before I realised that Arctic Monkeys did not pop up on there.
Ah, well, that's a shame.
Yeah, it was all like Queen, ABBA, Beatles. It's like, the big hitters. And I was like, well, we know what they think about them.
I know, but they're gonna go like. I've never been a Queen fan actually.
Is anyone ever going to say anything about the Beatles that hasn't been said? Can we just agree?
Well, no, it's probably whoever did that, the journalist that was hosting that didn't do. If they'd have known the connection perhaps between it, then maybe they would have said Arctic Monkeys. So,
but I genuinely thought this is a great opportunity because we've got two of the most famous drummers in the world, and maybe they're going to say what they think about Helders. And I thought it'd be a nice little clip to get on here, but no. Oh,
I
they
like
like
to
ABBA,
think-
do they? Yeah, so it's fucking everyone else.
I like to think the fact that he was at that charity gig and Josh Homme was stood behind him while he was playing told me all I need to know about what they think about Helders drumming.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need to know. I can read between the lines, as it were.
I bet he pops up on a Beck album next, don't they? That'll be his next thing. I'm calling it now on my Matt Helders 2024-25 sweepstake. Helders to drum on a Beck song. There we go.
Who's that? Like he's taking Lady Gaga. So who's like someone commercial? Who else commercially do you think he'd tour with? That would be. He'd think that's an okay gig. I'll do that. Like
I'm not up to date on that whole side of things.
Yeah, that's the problem, innit? We're not, are we?
I was going to say Miley Cyrus, but I don't think
not Lana Del Rey.
Lana Del Rey's shout.
No, Dua Lipa. He could drum for Dua Lipa.
Oh, no, that'd fit. That would definitely fit, yeah.
That would fit, yeah.
With her Britpop inspired album that's coming out. Yeah, I believe that.
I
can't see it.
I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, because people don't go on about Britpop enough already. Christ.
Oh, we'll forego the shuffle when that comes out and pick that. I think we should be allowed to forego the shuffle in our pre-show album reviews to pick albums that we want to review. You know, particularly like new
big
albums
ones coming out and stuff. Yeah,
like Libertines we'll do, and we'll do that. We'll do the Dua Lipa Britpop album. And I don't mind Dua Lipa, but you know, I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical. But the lyrics. What? So I've got my theory.
Yeah.
But from I've always had this theory since day one, first listen, 15 years. So I got to be honest. Even if I'm until I did the John Kennedy and Alex said stuff that made me go, "Fuck, I might be right." I was very much aware that this is my own personal theory and potentially not a thing, but it could be a thing. So it's interesting to hear someone because I've never wavered from that. So I'm interested to hear. I saw what other people thought the theory was today when I was perusing, but I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are.
So I always just assumed this was the case, and I never gave it much thought. And then looking at it again this week, I was like, yeah, so we might be of the same mind here. I see it as someone, well, a woman getting ready to have an affair with a Brian Storm type character.
Yes, the affair thing is out there. I think that's been debunked by something that Alex says in the John Kennedy.
Oh,
I could be wrong. You may disagree when you hear it. I won't say what that is, but I think something he says doesn't clock with how you would speak about that character, because I could see how somebody could think that because it's this person and the woman is enthralled by him, which Alex has sung about before. So I can see that, but I think he says something. But my personal theory from day one has always been that this song is about Josh Homme and the experience in the desert. And the jeweler's hands is Josh Homme showing them the way. He's showing them the way.
I like that.
And there's two songs that I think are about that. And Alex confirmed, at least in passing, one thing I will say from the John Kennedy is he says in that what this song is about, Catapult, is also about the same person.
Oh. Okay.
And I've always thought Catapult was about Josh Homme as well, perhaps. So that when he said that, I was like, oh, okay, that's weird, because I've always had that connection. So that's just, it's always been my theory is this is about that. And there's some things he says in the John Kennedy that we'll get to that I feel like kind of confirm it. But to go into the lyrics, fiendish wonder in the carnival's wake, dull caresses once again irritate. So it's kind of like boredom irritating, kind of the dullness setting in or whatever. So I could see in the relationship theory that it's someone that's dissatisfied in their current relationship. So the idea
carnival is almost the early days of the relationship where it's all great. Then the carnival's wait. the dull caresses, blah blah blah, and then the next
Yes.
line fits in with that as well. Yeah.
I, in my theory, think that the Carnival's Wake is the after a tour,
Yes.
and that the dull caresses once again irritate is more the thoughts of creating new music, like the thoughts of what they're gonna do next. That's always been my kind of
I'm liking this already. I'm liking this theory already.
always been my theory. Next line is tread softly, and I was interested because no one else has said that out there. I was looking like surely someone else must have thought, but tread softly, stranger. He says, just to give a bit of background on that.
Yes.
So tread softly, stranger is a 1958 British crime drama directed by Gordon Parry and starring Diana Dawes, George Baker, and Terence Morgan. The film was shot in black and white in film noir style, and its setting in an industrial town in northern England, which we'll get to in a minute, mirrors the kitchen sink realism, which we know Alex likes, movement coming into vogue in English drama and film at the time. The screenplay was adapted from the stage play Blind Alley by Jack Popplewell. In the film, Johnny Mansell has fled to the Yorkshire steel town of Rawmarsh, so that's pretty much near Liverpool, near Sheffield, isn't it? If it's a steel town, I would imagine. After racking up large gambling debts in London, he moves into a cramped flat with his brother Dave, a clerk in a local steel mill. Dave's girlfriend Kaliko, a hostess in a local nightclub, lives close by, and their flats have neighbouring flat roof spaces, which they often use. Kaliko comes up with a plan for the brothers to rob the payroll at Dave's workplace to steal enough money to cover Dave's fraud and Johnny's debts. So I imagine the tread softly stranger is referring to the person having to tread softly because of the trouble that he's got himself in. But do you want to watch a little clip from the film? A little short clip from there?
I would love to.
Well, here we go.
If you need a bit to go on with, I might be able to borrow it.
Where from?
Well, I could perhaps get it for you. I don't know offhand.
No, thanks, Dave. I think you've got your own problems. Well, I think I'll go to bed. Good night.
Night, Johnny.
Fan.
You didn't look at my little screen once. Then as soon as the woman came on screen, I was miming furiously masturbating for a good 30 seconds there, and it wasn't appreciated, unfortunately. But
Oh yeah, was that when I did see it, and then Vicky just walked in behind you, shook her head, and then walked back out.
she wouldn't care.
She's seen it all.
But she's seen it all before. Yeah, I've seen it all. But so I apologize to podcast listeners for that. There wasn't many clips out there, and only the first half of that clip is dialogue. So you just heard a lot of noise in the second half. But what everyone else saw was a beautiful, very attractive lady in a negligee. So subscribe just for that if you're that desperate.
It's well worth it. It's well worth £5
Well
a
worth
month.
it. Well, we are actually planning on doing a watch along of that film, aren't we? The full hour and a half, because we plan on doing a watch along of all the art that corresponds to the film, because this isn't the only time that that film is referenced, is it, in the catalogue? Is it actually?
Ooh.
No, it is. Sorry, I'm talking rubbish. I got confused. Actually, no. Did he say "Tread Softly, Stranger" again in another song? No, I'm getting mixed up.
No, I'm not having that. But maybe.
No,
But I bet when we watch it, something else will pop up in it that will
Probably.
have been referenced. I guarantee.
Yeah, I think he's using the plot of the theme of that film to say "tread softly, stranger." Because that is a phrase, but was that phrase before the film? Was it a phrase after? Is he referencing the film? I don't know. Is that a phrase "tread softly, stranger"?
Tread softly but I think tread softly, stranger is definitely a reference to the film.
It might be a phrase in Yorkshire because of the film.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that might be something because that is if it's set in a state. I imagine Raw Marsh is Sheffield.
It's
City,
near Rotherham. Well,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
film's
Yeah,
set
right.
like near Rotherham way most to, yeah.
You're not from New York City. You're from Raw Marsh. Quite have the same ring to it, does it?
Yes, Raw Marsh is a large village in Rotherham, so yeah.
Very good. So there you go. I think he's so it's probably more of a phrase there. He knew a lot of old films, though, didn't he? Because of his granddad and all that. So, as referenced before and plenty after. But so he says, "Tread softly, stranger. Move over toward the danger that you seek." So again, the danger could be the man that she's. I do think the first part of the song feeds the theory, but I do think the second part of the song moves away from the affair theory and lends itself more to mine. And I think mine kind of fits into the whole way, but I am biased, so because it is my theory. But
I do agree, actually.
Well, Alex, you'll see on the John Kennedy perhaps I've got it. I'm not just coming at it as I would be more going, oh, this is my theory, and I don't think there's much to it. If it wasn't for that I heard the John Kennedy and thought, oh, hang on, it might be alluding to things here. But move over towards the danger that you seek. Yeah, needs a thrill or a change. Could be the woman, but it could, thrill of the new man. But it could equally be the band who are at this point 2 albums in. Where do you go from here? What are we going to do next? Need something to make this exciting again. Off the back of this sort of big success. Could easily work for that as well.
Especially because in hindsight, I reckon the band would have liked to have done the second album differently because they did it while they were still very much in first album mode and just got straight in there and did another album. And I think in hindsight, they maybe would have took some time to mix things up a bit. And
the fact that Alex went off and did a side project in the middle of this kind of lends itself to that idea as well, that he was looking for a bit of a change, Next line is, you think excitement has receded, that the mirror distracts. Is this a reference to Narcissus, do you think? The whole story with the Greek mythology story where the guy's looking in the mirror, but he's so obsessed with himself, he's so vain, staring into the mirror that he ends up dying or whatever because he's so distracted by his own reflection. Do you know what I mean? Because the mirror distracts. Makes me think he means that.
Yes, the Greek mythology thing.
Narcissus. Yeah.
Yes, I think Narcissus. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think it must be reference to that because that's the only thing that's coming up when you search for that. So it must be. So the reference points are coming from everywhere here.
Yeah. So obsessed with your own thoughts that you don't see what's right in front of you is the moral of that story, I guess. That Greek mythology is so obsessed, so out of vein or whatever, arrogant, or so obsessed in your own thoughts that you don't see what's right in front of your face or whatever. Which I suppose in the context of the relationship is that the excitement in the relationship has receded, and the mirror distracts you, the reflection of this guy distracts you, but that makes you forget about perhaps the danger that this person poses as well, which I think, I'll be honest, in terms of the band, can I relate that to it? I don't. I guess you could say the excitement of the touring and the writing music and that has receded a little bit because you're at this point where you need a change, and the band did change, after this. Then the mirror distracts, and that's in danger would be. I think based off what comes next could be so that when it was put to them to go to the desert, I'm sure it was a very alluring prospect, but there could also have been there's an element of that could have really flopped and failed, that idea, after they did the album, and to some people it did, it did, but for anyone that knows what they're talking about, it didn't. But that danger of, what, you want to go make an album with Josh Homme? Yes, please, thank you, in the desert. But there is a lot of risk to that, because if you go and it doesn't quite work, or there is a risk, and you're going to be different to what you were before musically, and that could also ruin you as a band commercially. Like, there is a lot of risk attached to even though it sounds like straight up great idea. Of course, now in hindsight, you're going to go and work with Josh Homme in the desert, but based off all the music they created so far, doesn't necessarily. There is a risk there that it would happen.
I think for a lot of this,
Luckily, Lawrence
like
Bell's
the
a
quick
genius.
turnaround. Thank God for that. Thank God for Lawrence Bell. Look, I think with the quick turnaround between albums 1 and 2, and then again, like straight after album 2, after he'd done the short tour with our Shadow Puppets, it was straight back to it. I wonder if at the back of their minds they had the Stone Roses, because their first album was 1989, and then it was 6 years before the second album came out, and it was just universally despised, to the point where there's a joke in Hot Fuzz in Shaun of the Dead about it. He's like, I like it. So I wonder if that's at the back of their mind as well. They kind of did the Oasis thing of capitalising on the solid debut.
Or any artist, Taylor's all the time, isn't it? And the artist that struggles to recapture the magic, and you get that a lot with authors, filmmakers, musicians. If that's why some people only have the one great, because it's hard to keep doing that. That's like that. It's a tale as old as time.
Taylor's old as time.
But yeah, the next chunk, which kind of I think complements the mirror bit, is the logic of the trance quickly reaches and grasps, handsome and faceless and weightless your imagination runs. So, in terms of the relationship, there's a general thing, is the actual good idea behind the fantasy starts to make sense. So it's like the trance she's in, if you just put it in the affair thing, the trance she's in by the guy's allure, there's actually a bit of logic to it, perhaps, and reaches and grasps. And I think I can say a lot of the affair thing, people saying, well, he says handsome, so that's why friends are, but he doesn't actually say the person's handsome. He says handsome and faceless and weightless your imagination runs. So he's referring to your imagination being handsome, faceless and weightless, almost as if the person that she's imagining that she wants to be with isn't a fair, isn't necessarily a person. It's just the idea of the affair that's the allure, rather than it doesn't matter who it is, And I think, I get that for the affair, but for me, that could be perhaps the idea of going to the desert and working with these people, a dream come true, perhaps. And then the logic of it that quickly reaches and grasps is that it actually is a good idea, and it actually starts to make sense. Like, you're getting over the trepidation because it makes sense. It makes sense. You've got there's a lot about it that did make sense, and you got even from Jamie's influences, it makes sense, to go out there and work with these people, and thank God they did.
Yeah. They did. Well done, lads.
Okay, so and now it's no one's fault but yours. At the foot of the House of Cards, you thought you'd never get obsessed. You thought the wolves would be impressed. So, for me, that on a general is like, now you've made the decision and you're nervous that the situation you've created could tumble. Like, you're at the foot of the House of Cards, which obviously famously unstable.
Cool image.
It is a very cool image, yeah. And they didn't think. Now they didn't think they'd get obsessed. So again, from the affair point of view, I guess people would say it's no one's fault but yours. You chose to do the affairs, and now you're at the House of Cards, and your whole life's gonna fall around you. You didn't think you'd get obsessed with this guy, but you have. You thought the wolves would be impressed. I don't know what that is referring to, if they're talking about an affair.
I think the wolves. Yeah, the wolves would be impressed furthers your theory more, because the wolves is almost a snarky, like, who the fuck are Arctic Monkeys type thing about the industry and the
absolutely
journalists.
Exactly. That's what I thought. Yeah,
exactly.
So if you put it in the my theory, it would be they're at this foot House of Cards because they didn't think they'd get obsessed with the desert, and we know the band did become very obsessed with that world. And you thought the wolves, they're worrying that it could be a mistake to go there, but you thought that the wolves circling the band, the critiques, the music press, the British, all that word, like you said, about all the people that are wanting them to fail, that kind of British thing of people wanting them to fail. You thought they'd be impressed by you working with Josh Homme and all that. But now that you're here and you've done it and you're at the House of Cards, you're worried that they're going to be ready to pounce if it goes wrong. If it goes bad, they're going to be, which they absolutely would have and did, because they perceived it as going wrong. But again, they're bloody wrong. But yeah,
that's wrong.
Yeah, and now that's actually looked at in a very different way that I'll reference it a bit, but it's funny that. But yeah, I think the Wolves thing, because I don't know the Wolves, like, unless it's like your enemy's waiting for you to do something from a fair point of view, but I can't really make that work.
Oh.
And you're a sinking, but this is where I guess from this point in the song is from the Wolves line is really where I think it lends itself to my idea more. So you've got, and you're a sinking stone, but you know what it's like to hold the jeweler's hands, that procession of pioneers all drowned. So for me, that kind of means like, so you're worried now, but you've been touched by greatness. So I guess in the affair, it would be you're sinking stone. It's all going wrong, but at least you know what it's like to be with this guy, this amazing guy, that a lot of other people that have tried that have drowned in that. They've struggled to do that. That doesn't. I don't know, that the wording doesn't really butter the parsnips for me there in terms of like if that is about an affair or whatever. I think it's like they're worried now. They're sinking stone. They're in this. They're worried, like you said in the last bit, about it going wrong or whatever, and they're entrenched in it now. But you've learned. But you're okay. They're okay. They're not worried about it because they've learned so much. They know what it's like to hold the jeweler's hand, to be around these people and learn stuff like not just necessarily Josh Homme, like Elaine that we discussed last week. The desert. Yeah, the desert, the whole thing, like all the other people they met. I think it's the whole experience, and many people who have tried to experiment in bands and change have failed, like the processions of pioneers that have all drowned. And I think pioneers is an important word there, because from an affair point of view, it doesn't really make sense. But pioneer, an artist that's trying something new is a pioneer. So I think that kind of lends itself to that, and people are worried that it might fail, but you're not, because you've learned so much and you've been taught by the masters of it or whatever. So you're okay. You've been touched by greatness.
The whole idea of holding the jeweler's hands as well it takes on like sort of like a mythical quality, which goes along with everything we've heard, like this whole thing about Jamie disappearing and coming back covered in pink dust and all stuff like this. It's like there's almost like a mythical thing to it in the desert, isn't there?
Very similar to Red Right Hand in that regard. Yes. About this person that's mythical and has all these different styles there. Yeah, so I do think in this he's a bit inspired by that song, actually, Red Right Hand, with the lyrics, because
I've read a couple of things whilst like during the course of recording this. Yeah, cool. I'm trying to find definitive proof of this, but apparently this was the first song they recorded with Josh Homme.
So there's something in the John Kennedy that the lyrics. It's something that'll lend itself to my theory. In the first part of the lyrics, I think perhaps were mythically were about like what we're saying about a character like a Red Right Hand, like about this person. But then he pretty much says in that, as you'll hear in a bit, that when they recorded it, the second part of the lyrics they did towards the end, he added those lyrics for the wig, the wig out and all that, like this bit we're getting to now. All this bit he added. And he said that was all about. He basically said that was all about the experience. So it kind of like cinched in my theory, really. But as you'll hear, so I think they might have played around with it, but I think he wrote the lyrics, the second part of the lyrics to this, towards the end. That makes sense. So they did it then, because it wasn't supposed to have the last part. When they recorded it, it ended up having the wig out bit. When they first made the song, wrote it, it stopped at like this breakdowny bit or whatever. It didn't have that wig out, but then Josh Homme brought it out, I guess, so then we're not during the. I mean, loads of songs probably do that. We'll never know, will we? That it's that way and then it changes and all that. So, so that's they then recorded that bit and then they needed lyrics for that because the song had changed. And I think at the end he wrote, and he pretty much says anyway, you'll hear that it's about the wisdom. So the next line is, and this is really where I think it gets to it, but. In the moonlight, they're more thrilling. Those things that he knows. I mean, desert, moonlight. Come on, so there you can imagine them out in the desert under the moonlight. Josh Homme,
I'm doing
them stuff, Oh god, yeah. That's one of the reasons of the song is because I've always had this theory in my head of it being about this. It's enhanced it lyrically. And I think you could say that's about the affair. Obviously, that works as well under the moonlight, the guy and the thing. But the things that he knows doesn't quite vibe for me as an affair. Like, what's this guy know that's so alluring? Do you know what I mean? It's more about somebody that's got something to say or teach, as they say in a minute.
Teach,
but that doesn't really make sense from an affair. I guess you could say like him opening her up sexually or something. But I don't know, that just doesn't feel right for me. That feels like round, square peg round hole for me. But
say opening her up sexually again, Dan.
Opening her up sexually for the ladies at the back.
I love that.
But
ladies at the front, if anything.
Well, speak for yourself.
Ladies wherever you want.
Ladies can be anywhere they want.
Feminism.
In the sorry. As he leads you through the grinning bubble blows in the snow. I guess I've always seen that as like that is kind of a fantasy line, like leading you through something mundane but mystical. So bubble blowers a very mundane thing, like a kid playing with, and he likes to reference kids' toys and stuff like that a lot, doesn't he? Kids saying phrases.
It's very Chronicles of Narnia as well, with the snow, like this mythical thing happening in the snow.
Yeah, the snow makes
another world.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, the bubble blowers bring it to reality, but the snow makes it feel like another world, mystical. I think that's what he's trying to get out with that, like the people grinning doing it as well. Like a weird image, and that's kind of I guess he's leading. Even though they're probably day to day is probably fairly at it recording music, but there's this kind of overall mystical element to them being there in the desert and all that, which I imagine it very much is out in the California desert. Like, it must be insane. But and then my favorite bit of the song, and what a line. Watching his exit was like falling off the ferry in the night. So when he departs, you become lost, basically. If you fall off a ferry in the night, you're in an ocean of darkness, aren't you? You're lost. You're in the middle of... You are fucked. You're taking some of the poetry out of it, but you're in just a black blanket of nothing, aren't you, if you fall off in the ferry in the night? So
I definitely don't have a tab open right now labelled cruise ship deaths. Definitely don't have that. Definitely didn't fall down that rabbit hole.
A lot of people get away with that. If like Columbo and Monk and stuff is to be believed.
Well, the thing is, because the cruise ship it's normally a battle for jurisdiction with different police forces. So by the time they get a police force in to deal with it, then the body's long gone. There's the evidence gone.
Good place to kill someone, middle of the ocean. Good place to like marry a horse. All good reasons to go out into the ocean.
I'm glad you added that S on the end of that then. I thought it was going to marry a whore.
Marry a whore where you want, mate.
It doesn't matter.
Don't matter.
You end up dead in the boot of your car. Regardless.
You did. Do you want me to edit that out? Do you want me to make a note to edit that out?
No, it's funny.
Okay, good.
Think she listens. I'll ask her.
Ask her before I edit it. So yeah, this is like when he leaves. So you could say from the affair point of view, him going has made her lost, but then you could equally say from the band point of view, him like that end of that whole thing is like they'll feel very lost after it because they were there for a few months completely entrenched in it, and then you sent back to reality, and you have to be the band again, I guess, because you probably were very cut off there. They were probably very strange, probably really cut off and completely involved in this world, and then you come back. It must be odd, really odd. Yeah, great metaphor though. One of his best. Is it a metaphor or a simile? It's a simile, isn't it? Because he says
simile because it's like
simile, yeah. Simile, great simile. One of his best similes. I mean, we've got an album of similes, to be fair. I'll part that for now, but yeah. But it's basically just all similes. But yeah. So the next line is: the inevitables gather to push you around. Any other voice makes such a punishing sound. That's a good line as well. So, like, I guess that's the inevitable people come to tell you what to do. So maybe the I don't know, music people, the marketing machine, all that kind of stuff, or just other people commenting on what you should do as a band, perhaps. Again, very Who the Fuck Are Arctic Monkeys-esque, perhaps. But now the only voice that seems worth listening to is his, and all the other voices make such a punishing sound. Yeah. This is a great line. I'm not quite sure how it fits into. it's difficult, this one. Okay, this is the one that I think for the affair one, I guess maybe more, but he became Laughter's assassin shortly after how he showed you what it was. So I guess from the affair point of view, he showed you to be happy, but then he killed that happiness by fucking off, perhaps, I guess is what you'd say. But I guess you could say that from Josh Homme. It doesn't have to be a scathing way. I guess it could be he showed them this way and then left just naturally. It doesn't have to be that he's an arsehole for doing it. He could just killed it by going, had to come to an end, didn't it?
All things do.
Because I don't think his singing is very. I don't think he sings this song like he's scathing about the person. That's another thing that leads me away from the affair. I don't get scathing vibes from his performance or the words he chooses. I think Assassin's probably about as brutal as it gets, but like it's very normally you can tell when he's singing about a person that he dislikes. He sings it and talks in a certain way, whereas I don't feel like I think Jules Hands is very. He likes the allure of the mythical person. I think, that's what kind of gets me there as well. From what we've listened to from Alex so far in depth, I feel like you can tell when he's singing about someone he doesn't like. In this and Shadow Puppets,
Yes. Particularly in Shadow Puppets, yeah.
Yeah, he gets Miles to sing the ones about the scathing ones that they don't like in Shadow Puppets. Scouser just lends itself to that more, doesn't it? But so this is like, again, I don't see how this. I don't feel like this bit fits the affair very well. So if you've a lesson to teach me, I'm listening, ready. If you've a lesson to teach me.
Can't help but
I can't help but sing it. I can't help but hear the guitar going.
Yeah.
If you've a lesson to teach me, I'm listening, ready to learn. There's no one here to police me. I'm sinking in until you return. So in the my theory, they're ready to learn. They're completely bought into it. Teach me, make me do it. We're captivated by you. There's no one here. Also, there's no one here to police me. Makes me feel like he's talking about the desert there. They're not. They've been cut off from everyone else in the world. So they'll just sink in until that all comes back. I guess the affair would say. that it's the person teaching them ready to learn. But again, that feels very weird. From a relationship like wording, the only kind of relationship that you'd word like that is some kind of dominatrix one, something like kind of 50 Shades of Grey weird thing, I don't think we're on that. No, we had that already with no, we haven't had any of that. No, I guess Crying Lightning, don't know. But yeah, I just think it lends itself more to Alex says something when we listen to John Kennedy soon that I just think debunks the affair theory. And it's interesting because a lot of the affair theory, if you look, their main reason for going with the affair theory is that in the John Kennedy, they specifically reference the XFM interview, and they say he says that it's the same as Catapult, and they say, well, Catapult's clearly about an affair, so this one is. But they neglect to say that in the John Kennedy one, he says a lot of other stuff that clearly debunks the affair one, in my opinion. But we'll see. But the next bit is the same two lines, but he changes the second two. So if you've a lesson to teach, please don't deviate. Don't be afraid. Without the last corner piece, I can't calibrate. Let's get it ingrained. So again, I don't really know how that works in the affair one. I would say for me, that's they needed him to teach them that last piece, because that last thing they were looking for as a band. Because I think many people, including me and you, now looking back, I think everyone would agree probably that the things that came after as a band, Suck It and See, mainly AM, let's use as the main example, couldn't have happened. Even Tranquility and the experimentation of Tranquility, those albums couldn't have happened without this album and this Trip to the Desert. I think as a band, that Trip to the Desert is the single. When people say there's like a defining moment in sort of a career or whatever, the Trip to the Desert is that moment, because they had the rock elements, they had the hip hop elements, they had the influences, they had this stuff, they had this commercial aspect. They had a little things that they wanted to explore, but maybe didn't know where to go or what to do or what to listen to or where to place it. They needed that last corner piece of the jigsaw. They needed something to guide them there. And I would very much see Josh Homme as the mythical Sherpa that took them, like when you watch like a native is Native American the right term? I don't want to say. Yeah, Native American is the right term, isn't it? Take like a Native American and they take them out to the desert and they they make them take some weird drug shit and have like a trip, and after it they realize what their life's quest journey is. I feel like that's what Josh Homme in the Desert was for the band. It kind of guided them towards who they were going to be, and I just guarantee there'd be no AM without this trip. There'd be no AM.
Not, no.
There'd be no Suck It and See, really. I mean, Suck It and See is a bit different because it's obviously it's got that different element to it, but a lot of Suck It and See is because of the America stuff and because of that whole thing, I guess. So, but there'd be certainly no AM, and I don't think there'd be a Tranquility without this album, because I don't think they ever would have been geared towards experimentation as much, perhaps.
This is the biggest sliding doors moment in the band's career.
Yeah, it has to
I
be.
think.
Yeah, without this, you just don't get anywhere else, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think we needed another album. I mean, there's points, like from doing Favourite Worst Nightmare for this, I think there's points in the album where you kind of get to the point where, this has been done now.
I mean, we loved them before, but if you're saying that this album, this experience is the thing that led them on a path that would make them a great for us rather than a band that we like for a couple of albums, then you have to say that, I guess, that Lawrence Bell is single-handedly the most important person in the Arctic Monkeys journey then.
Yeah.
Because he signed them to a label that gave them artistic freedom, and also he set up this whole Josh Homme situation, I think. So from what I know.
If the third album had come out and it was more of the same as we got on Favourite Worst Nightmare, I think I'd have very much enjoyed it at the time, but it wouldn't have stood up to repeat listening like 15 years later as this is doing.
No. I don't think we'd be doing
Well,
we wouldn't be doing this podcast if they'd have stayed in a similar vein, because the main reason we started it was because we knew that, because when people say to me, people say to me frequently, how do you have so many episodes? And I say, well, it's a song and episode. They go, how do you talk about that song for any length each episode? And I say, the difference with this band is that because of the lyrics, we're able to talk about it in depth. Otherwise, it would just be like the music bit where we go, isn't that bit good? And isn't that bit good? That wouldn't work. But with the lyrics, we're able to have a discussion. And we always knew that the first album would be us talking from a nostalgic point of view about the lyrics. The second album would be, again, similar. But we always knew that from this point on is where the meat of the podcast would be in terms of like chatting about it. So yeah, we wouldn't be doing this if they hadn't gone this direction. No way. We would have, because there wouldn't be enough there to do. Because if it was all still just lyrics like the first two, as great as they are, there wouldn't be enough to bother talking about, I don't think, in any detail.
Does that mean we have to give Lawrence Bell a percentage of the Patreon money?
I'll give fucking Lawrence Bell a percentage of the country's Patreon money if he makes this an official Arctic Monkeys podcast and gets us like interviews with the band and stuff. You can have it all.
Yeah.
I don't need it. But yeah. So yeah, I just think for me that last chunk in particular is huge for that. I think everything that came before makes sense for this band, but everything that came after this is like the final piece of the puzzle. Like he says that they're lost in the desert, Josh Homme, Alain, Johans, or whatever it is, about the experience and fitting that, discussed in this song. It's just that this vibe on the album. I just think this song is about all that. Josh Homme being the leading factor of that. And I think if you look at, and we'll obviously be doing the Catapult lyrics soon, but I think the Catapult lyrics can also be about that as well. I can see why you could read Catapult as being about an affair or a guy that's captivating. But when you look at the Catapult lyrics from the point of view, as you can now for a couple of weeks before we get to it, I can't remember which one it's on, but I think it's on it for a couple. I think there's a couple of lyrics in there that you'll go, oh, I can see now why that works, So yeah. But I guess with Catapult as well, you could say from the affair angle as well. So it's interesting that he says it's about. But we'll listen to the John Kenny because I don't think he says they're about the same thing, but they're about a similar character. Say someone that's. There's a word he uses. Should we listen to the John Kennedy? Should we do that next before we talk about anything else? Because that'll help me focus the conversation on the lyrics.
That's
I'll
absolutely.
let you do
Let's bookend it and play it, and then bookend it again.
Too much to discuss over a broken apart.
The Jeweler's Hands is the last song on the record. Is it the longest song on the album? Is it?
I think it is, John, yeah.
And it's, I read in one piece that this is the furthest out you've ever gone. Well, that was a quote from you, Alex.
Yeah.
That you felt that this was the furthest out you'd ever gone.
That was it, like, and also like the sort of the most time we'd ever like spent on one thing. Like we were sort of exclusively just working on that for like 4 or 5 days, and yeah, well, that was like unheard of in like sessions before. It was always sort of do it, set it up pretty live, and we'll record it now and play it out tomorrow night. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of. It was the first tune I'd written, not without a guitar as well. Like wrote it on a piano, which is, I think that kind of leads you to draw different conclusions, obviously, than this sort of shapes you do with your left hand on the guitar. Something I'd like to get into perhaps a bit more in the future. But yeah, I think it always seemed like the end of the record, you know. And I think I might have mentioned before, but we almost after that, it was about trying to do the rest of it in order to get to that sort of point at the end.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, sometimes for some people, you know, they might get a song and think, right, that's always going to be the album opener or something like that. And I guess with your first album, in a way, those songs kind of map themselves out in a natural
in the lyrics,
shape anyway, didn't they? And but this time around, the Jeweler's Hands, you got that, and it felt like that's how we're going to end it. How do we fill in the rest?
That's right. Yeah, so it was kind of plug in the gaps a little bit, but you know, yeah, we haven't played that one in the show yet, but we will. Yeah.
And what's it about, the Jeweler's Hands?
There's this other tune called Catapult that didn't end up on there, and that's like it's relative. I suppose it's correlative. It's like they were about like the same. I tried to do so much with like characters this time, and then I think there is perhaps there's a bit more personal stuff in the tunes, and perhaps that's because there's like some kind of veil or there's a bit more. It's not as I don't know. Perhaps I just found it easier. The style of writing was easier to sort of put more into it, but more sort of personal stuff into it. But yeah, with the Jeweler's Hands and this tune Catapult was one of the only ones that did kind of have this central character, like this sort of figure of wisdom, and that was sort of superior to his peers or anyone he kind of encountered. And I guess that was kind of possibly like extensions of people that's met.
Yeah.
Or where those extensions all met, at least. Yeah, and that's what those two tunes where we left like Catapult off in the end, just because like there's something about these 10 where they all kind of fitted together.
And in this song, you say something about if I've got a lesson to learn, I'm listening, ready to learn, or something like that. And do you feel in a way with Humbug, with this album, with the whole change of environment to go and record it, that's an approach that the whole band had for the record?
I think that was one of the only, like, that kind of outro on that tune was probably like some of the only lyrics that actually were written like whilst we were out there, and it was just sort of like, because that whole section was like tagged on, like the song sort of had ended after the second chorus, but then we sort of wanted to have this like wig out, and so that like little, I suppose that did perhaps reflect our feeling like out there, that little arcane passage to there.
Well, I'm glad you did. I think it sounds really good, and it's definitely an album that reaps reward with continued play, I think, which is
good,
which is really good. I think you're surprising.
So,
You're going to surprise a few people with this record. So thanks so much for coming in and talking us through it, track by track. Great to see you again. And this is the last tonight from Arctic Monkeys. It is The Jeweler's Hands on Exposure XFM.
Too much to discuss over a bucket of balls.
I think the most interesting John Kennedy clip that we've had there, I think.
Yes, I would agree. So some thoughts. First time, one time on one song that they've spent 4 to 5 days pretty says a lot, doesn't it? That it's that's why it probably sounds so well put together. They never spent longer than that on a song, which is incredible.
If you look back at some of the Beneath the Boardwalk stuff would have been 45 minutes, and even that was
Well, that's how it is then, isn't it? When you're doing it that way. But he directly referenced what we said, like about again early Tranquility, because he said writing it on a piano. He said it leads. I think he says great line. He says it lends you to a different conclusion or whatever, which I think is Alex's way of saying that. You know, writing it on the piano takes to different places musically, which is exactly what Tranquility did. So I think that lends itself to our little thing that this one is the most Tranquility. Yes, probably because Alex wrote it on the piano. Interesting. And the first song he's written on a piano, I think. Did he write the actual 505 on that lick, or did he sit and write the organ and write the song that way, or do you think they just added that? Do you think he did that during the process, like? At the very actually, that's just, you know what, even if he did do it that way, that's just 2 notes from a film on an organ. Like, this is the first time he's played piano in a song, like as in like actually come up with a piano riff. That's just going like hitting 2 notes that is sampled basically from a film anyway. But so yeah, first time he's played a piano and written a song. So in relation to the theory, okay, I think what's happened is, because he says there, so if you read now, if you're going to read the Catapult lyrics that we'll be doing soon, you read them and there's a lot there that lends itself more to the affair idea, because there's stuff like slap on the ass, stuff like that. There's also stuff that lends itself to the wisdom one. I think, because he doesn't say it's about the same character, what he says is it's a relative of that song, and it's not so much, he said he wanted to write not so much with characters, but with more personal stuff.
Right.
And then he said, this person is a figure of wisdom that's superior to their peers, which again, that wisdom, was that the word you'd use for someone who's having an affair? Like wisdom is someone who teaches you something, as the song says, or knows something. And then he says, like, people I've met. And then John Kennedy, who I think is on the same page as me with his thought process, good old John there, he cannily asks about, is that about this whole album and the experience that you had, that end bit? And Alex says, yeah, they wrote that bit, like I said, at the outro after it for the wig out the lyrics. And he says that is very much about a reflection on there. So I think what's happened is maybe Catapult and the beginning of this song started out life as a character of an affair or an alert. Like, he's a typical kind of like prick that seduces a woman or is an alluring. I think it started out life like that, and Catapult is still more on that side. But this song, by the end,
the experience has informed the way it's progressed.
Yeah, and it's changed into a song about, at least in the second half of it, more about the experience with Josh Homme in the desert and stuff like that. And I think throughout that, he pretty much confirms that in what he said there the whole way through. Yeah, and I think John Kennedy kind of got that as well. And I mean, to say it's the wisdom thing was a big thing for me, because it's like that's not a word you'd use for the person in an affair, superior to the peers. He said it's about personal stuff. He didn't want to use characters. If it wasn't affair, it would be personal to him. This person that cheated or did all this again. And he actually says it's about a reflection out there. So yeah, I think both theories are correct. But by the end of this song, the character became more about the experiences there.
Yeah.
But Catapult is still more about the affair guy, because it's like he'll slap you on your ass and whatever that line is in there.
Neck and all that.
Yeah. So I think, yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's pretty interesting, and probably sparked the most interesting lyrical discussion we've had on the album.
Definitely.
On an album of great lyrics as well.
Yeah, I mean, and we've not even scratched the surface in terms of great lyrics yet. If you look at, there's some great stuff on the B sides, and then Suck It and See.
I can't wait to talk about what Frightline Dining Room's about.
Oh yes, we've got guests for that, haven't we?
We did. Well, we have a guest. I haven't confirmed second guest yet, but we definitely have a guest. Yeah. Again, it's people like fans. It's not before people get excited that like Helders is going.
Yeah, we're not just going. Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant just in terms of like dragging someone off the street and making them listen to it. And talk about it. Mom, what do you think of this?
But yeah, it's that. So if I thought like play the shipping forecast, play the shipping forecast.
Listen to the shipping forecast.
There wasn't really anything from the girls this week, but I thought we kind of briefly touched on it. But I thought it might be interesting to just mention the charity gig that Helders did. I believe it was a charity for like musicians' families or something like that, like struggling musicians' families. I think was
yes.
What...
So it's called the Sweet Stuff Benefit, and the foundation raises money for musicians and recording engineers who are dealing with illness and disability. Possibly one of the most niche charity things ever. So the lineup. Josh Homme, Dave Grohl, Beck, St. Vincent, The Kills, Matt Helders, Jesse Hughes of Eagles of Death Metal, Chad Smith, Tyler Parkford, also Monkeys adjacent, Bill Burr, Sarah Silverman, other members of Queens of the Stone Age, and yeah, it seems like a pretty cool. I think it's the thing he does.
Yeah, I thought that was Sarah Silverman on the clip. I couldn't tell because of the angle. It looked either like Sarah Silverman or it looked like Elaine from Seinfeld. That's in Veep.
I don't think Sarah Silverman was on the original poster, so she must have been a late.
Well, no, not on the poster. I saw a clip from it where it went through all the events. And she was, it was a woman stood down. I thought, is that Sarah Silverman or is that Julia?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I didn't know until I saw the clips and thought it was her because she's not on the poster that I saw.
It looked like Bill Burr was playing drums at one point.
Yeah, he was. He's very multi-talented, isn't he? Really, Bill Burr.
Actor, comedian, podcaster, drummer.
Yeah, grumpy bastard. The lot.
I do like Bill Burr, to be fair. Yeah, it looked like a pretty cool benefit to be at if you could have been there. I would have loved. I'm guessing if we were in LA, we would have definitely, obviously, gone to that.
Yeah. I mean, we'd have bought tickets for it. I don't think we would have been invited. Specifically,
if I was in LA, I wouldn't be wasting my time doing this podcast recording. So I'd be out there.
No, I'd be going to everything.
Living life, yeah.
If we were in LA, then something has happened to our circumstances that means we don't need to be doing podcasts. So
I imagine we'd still be just driving around in like a car wearing leather jackets, like
listening to lights,
wolf whistling to women. Yeah.
yeah.
To be quite honest,
I think day 2, I'd emerge wearing a Hawaiian shirt, and you'd just be sick of me already.
That is one of my bucket lists: is to do Route 66 while listening to Suck It and See and AM in a what's it called, in a Cadillac or something. That is my open top Cadillac down Route 66, listening to Suck It and Sick and AM. Suck It and See and AM.
Next World Cup's over there, isn't it? Link it all in.
Ooh, when's that? 2026.
6, yeah.
Ooh, pod will be done as well then.
And that's the main consideration here.
But the
I'm gonna shit if it's not, I'm going.
Yeah, it's that's kind of a dream there. My dream was also to listen to them on a yacht, and I actually went on a yacht, but it wasn't my trip, so I couldn't shoehorn my own music.
Yeah, you couldn't go. Yeah.
So I was
Bluetooth.
The two things I was furious about that trip was that I didn't get to listen to any Arctic Monkeys in the middle of the sea on a boat, which would have been lovely, like Suck It and See out there on a sunny ocean in the sun, like amazing. And nobody wanted to, and nobody thought to put on a boat by Lonely Island on, which really annoyed me because that was also one of my fantasies, was to listen to that on a
wasted trip all around.
I know, yeah, really annoying. What can you do when it's not your trip? And to be fair, you didn't really pay anything towards it because you were invited.
Yeah. You're the winner here still, even despite
I am still the winner. Yeah, I can't moan really. Got to go on a yacht round Palm. I'm moaning about going on a yacht for this. I didn't get to listen to my favourite band though. That's so me. I had to find something to moan about in it. Like,
that I listen to every day anyway.
Well, in a luxury yacht that had a chef on it cooking me meals, going around Palmer Ocean, like with drinking, having parties, stopping at different ports and getting off and having a party at the night, then getting back on for like 5 days, and that I managed to moan about something. Fuck's sake. And I only paid about 150 quid for the actual trip to help pay for the fuel. That was it.
Wasted on you, that trip.
Yeah. But shall we do our favourite lyric? But yeah, Helders
think
was
we've
on
got
drums
the
for a
same
few tracks, wasn't he? On that, basically. And if there's
Yeah,
more
with Beck
videos, we'll
and
maybe bring them to the pod next week if we can find more videos from it.
Yeah. He covered Summer Breeze with Beck, which is one of them songs where I was like, I've not heard of it. And then you start listening to it, you're like, oh, this is that song. Yeah.
Because I think, as a rule of thumb, next week we can't have a lyrics section. Because we don't have sections on the covers, do we? Because that would make no sense.
I'll
can
be
talk
digging
briefly
out
about
some
what
of
it's
the
about.
other covers of Red Right Hand so we can see where they rank.
And we can discuss other stuff maybe we'll bring to that. But yes. Favourite lyric.
Too busy with the mind on clever lines.
We're on the same page here, don't you?
Yeah, I think the whole chunk actually for me, the in the moonlight there, more thrilling, those things that he knows as he leads you through the grinning bubble blowers in the snow, watching his exit was like faring off the ferry in the night. Is it was or is?
Correct. Was, I think.
Yeah, it was, isn't it? Yeah. Faring off the ferry in the... Yeah, that is just perfection, that chunk. That's another thing with this song is there's none of the lyrics are like flashy either in terms of like, you know, like some of the ones we've had, but they're all just like perfect and cool and sexy. Yeah, great. All playing in their A game. But yeah, I think we know the next one as well. It's a musical moment. But go on then.
Bad sounds in your ear that make you get up and down.
The bass moment, obviously for me, that's my favorite moment on the whole album. Then, but then the bass generally as well. To be fair,
Listen, that's the bass generally, but also the little guitar licks during the wig out as well.
Yeah, the dueling guitar and the if you've listened to yeah. To be fair, that is great. But yeah, oof, what a song. I do have a little hot take. We kind of already alluded to it, and we're going to say yes straight away. But go on, may as well.
She flicks a red hot revelation off the tip of her toe.
To date, is this the most sophisticated song that they've made? Not to date now, sorry. To date on the, in the...
So, yeah, at this point, yeah.
2009,
I think yes, because I think that goes along with what I was saying about there being so much more going on than you realise. No.
Although, where would it... In terms of that's a discussion for another time, I think. But I think because I'm just comparing it to the other two that I said are my favourites off the first and the second album. Because as I said, I can confirm this is my favourite, unless when I listen to the whole album before we do the wrap up, something drastically changes. But I think it will be my favourite, and my favourite off. Do I think it's better than Certain Romance? I don't think it's better than Certain Romance. Do I think it's better than If You Were There Beware? I do think it is better than If You Were There Beware. But I don't think it's better than Certain Romance. But I think it's more sophisticated and well made than both.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Certain Romance is incredible, but it's like this kind of incredible. Certain Romance is like lightning in a bottle that nobody else could ever do or recreate. It's their song and nobody else could ever go near it. Like it's just this song that could only have been created by them at that time. Whereas this is just a really well made song.
A Certain Romance in that respect. It goes hand in hand with stuff like This Charming Man and Love Will Tear Us Apart as, like I said, lightning in a bottle. Just they're the only band that could have done that at that time. If they'd come out with a song like that now, it just wouldn't be the same at all. It was just all part of the whole package.
Hence why most of the lyrics don't really apply to people now. Or a good chunk of the lyrics that we would have obsessed over then, most people wouldn't even understand what they're talking about in A Certain Romance. So, because you don't even really see people with the trackies tucked in socks anymore, do you? That's not really, even chavs don't do that anymore.
No,
really.
it's not
I don't think. But
no,
it's
all skinny trackies now, isn't it? It's all like slim fit trackies now instead.
But I think to answer your question earlier, if I was going to make a 20, was it best of? Was your preferred term? No, yeah, best of.
Yeah.
But
I think best of and greatest hits are different things.
For targeting people who respect music, perhaps proper music people,
this would get on there.
I think Jill Hands was get on there. Yeah, Certain Romance wouldn't, because I'd be worried that it would put them off, even though they should like it. But I think this would make it on there. But I think If You Were There would make it on there as well. Actually, to be fair, If You Were There, we were. I think this
because
this is the If You Were There Beware of Humbug, because it's got that weird sort of different vibe to it.
Yeah. The whole that ethereal, mystical kind of thing, because you get that with If You Were There Beware with the little background noise that's going on at the start, at the start of If You Were There Beware. That kind of brings that across as well.
Which album do you think captures a theme best in terms of like an album where you go, oh, that has the same sound the whole way through? Oh, I guess there's multiple. Would you say the first album has that, where you go, that is one sound for that album and it all makes sense? Favorite Worst Nightmare, I think, is a little bit all over the place in that regard.
Yeah, they go out there a bit because you start seeing the shoots of what they're going to do in the future.
You could say that about this one though as well, because Secret Door and Cornerstone and even this are a little bit different to, and you could also say Potion Approaching is a bit different to Dance Little Liar, Fire in the Flood, and you could say that Crying Lightning's a bit different, My Propeller's a bit different, like, but I mean it all works, but I just mean like if you go that's of a piece. Suck It and See does that quite well, barring
Suck It and See does that very well, and AM as well, I think.
AM does that very well. Does Tranquility does that very well?
Yeah, but then She Looks Like Fun is a bit of an outlier in that respect.
But only one. You could say Library Pictures is a bit of an outlier on Suck It and See.
Library Pictures would be the outlier on Suck It and See, yeah.
But it's interesting because I've just stumbled upon this now saying that. But I'd say the two albums that least connect every track, Favorite Worst Nightmare in the Car, and they're probably the two albums that I would say I least like at this current point in my.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, isn't it? They're the ones that I feel are a bit all over the place because I feel like it doesn't. I feel like Mirror Ball and then say the second track, the one about the plane.
I think
doesn't really sound like a gelling of sound, and then Sculptures doesn't sound like either of those either. So the two albums,
very weird single choices with the Car.
Yeah,
I will
because I mean they're the most ones that. Although Mirror Ball is the best song on the album. And
Mirror Ball, yeah.
They're right.
Mirror Ball and Body Paint, best two songs singles.
Yeah, they're the two singles, but that's because they're the best two songs on the album.
You could have gone full brick by brick with the trolling again and released Sculptures as the first single. Imagine that.
Well, but I think Sculptures is a very commercial. I think if people had heard Sculptures first, they'd go, "Oh, good, they're getting a bit like AM again." But although it really surprised me that a lot of people don't feel like that. Because when I first heard it, I thought, "Oh, this is the most AM sound we've heard since AM." But then a lot of people don't like it because they say it doesn't sound like that. But you know, they should have just like Drop Big Ideas as the first single, or like The Car or something. That would have really.
Or if they Drop the Car as the first single, I'd be like, "Right, get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame right now."
And we don't even like it that much. But I don't. No, I don't. Well, I think they did do a bit of trolling, as I've said before, because I think the opening to Mirror Ball sounds a bit Tranquility-esque. But then after the stops, it goes into a different type of song. So I think they did that on purpose because people would have thought, oh, God, here we go again.
That reminds me, the start of Mirror Ball being like a continuation of Tranquility, it reminds me what the Libertines did with Can't Stand Me Now. Like the start of Can't Stand Me Now is the end of Don't Look Back Into the Sun, the previous single.
Yeah.
It's like that. I love that. I love it when bands do that. I mean, I can only think of two examples there. But...
And now they've just released the beginning of Don't Look Back Into the Sun again on a new single. So
yeah.
Well, full circle.
Oh, I have high hopes for that album, but I wish I'd not listened to all the singles, to be honest. But we'll review that in a few weeks. But I have a slight hot take as well. While we're on hot takes, would you say? No, we're already in the hot take zone, I think.
Okay.
Highway to the hot take zone. I would say, and I wonder if you agree, I think this is their most underrated track. It's in terms of album tracks. Let's disregard B-sides because a lot of them are underrated, as we've seen already. But I think this is their most underrated track.
To this point or ever? To date now?
Certainly to this point, but the whole of Tranquility, Suck It and See, and big parts of the Car are already underrated in the fact that no one tends to talk about them.
Yeah, so I can
But
see it.
certainly up
As
to
we
this
know, in
point.
my opinion, is the most criminally underrated Arctic Monkeys album because even like some big fans think it's like meh, and I'm like, what? But
Blows my mind that.
yeah, very underrated, very underrated. I guess maybe you just don't like that kind of thing, but to date, in terms like 2009,
They were
on
up
Bug
to
Drops,
yeah.
I would say so because none of the songs on the first album are underrated except maybe Vampires. Sorry, is probably the most underrated one, but is
Vampires is the
okay.
most
It's
underrated
a
one
good
there.
song, yeah. And then the most underrated, If You're There Beware, was our most underrated on the last one. But this one is probably even less. So yeah, you're probably right because this one is like gets no attention whatsoever ever by anyone. So yeah, I would agree. This is probably the most underrated song so far because it's an amazing song. Like it's not just because it's underappreciated; it's because it's amazing and it's underappreciated.
When I finally go on Pointless and the final round is like UK rock music, and one of the questions is tracks from Humbug by Arctic Monkeys, I will be saying The Jeweler's Hands.
I don't think that would ever be a topic because you might not ever get a Pointless because there's only 10 tracks on it. Like you'd have to say Arctic Monkeys discography, no, Arctic Monkeys album tracks overall, and then this would definitely be Pointless probably.
No, they normally do it like.
Oh, do you mean the earlier rounds?
No, the final round. They've had it in the final round before, where it was indie rock.
One album.
It was indie rock, and it was so it comes. Then you have three choices. You can pick from any of the three for your answer, and it was any track from Hot Fuss by the Killers, any track from the Franz Ferdinand debut album, and then there was a third one. Oh, it's the Libertines. It's the second Libertines album. It was any track from that.
So wait. So first one was any track from Hot Fuzz. So I would have said everything will be all right.
Everything will be all right with Pointless. That's what
what was the next album? Franz Ferdinand?
Franz Ferdinand's debut.
Which album? Debut. Okay, so I would have said... I guess there's quite a few there. Would Michael have been Pointless? Would people remember that? I don't know.
I think Michael scored
the most homoerotic song ever. I love that song.
Yeah. Oh, God. It gets me going a bit. I'll be quite honest with you.
I probably would have said Jacqueline, actually.
Jacqueline, I think, was Pointless. I think Take Me Out and Matinee were the ones that scored on that.
Yeah.
And Tell Her Tonight as well.
Jacqueline was 17, working on a desk. Which I never knew that the lyric was when Ivor appeared above a spectacle. I thought it was when I appeared above, when I saw appeared above or something like that. I never knew it was the name Ivor.
Such a niche name.
Yeah. Well,
a Welsh name from a Scottish
comedian
band.
has called it. Is it a Welsh name? I thought it was like a Russian name, Ivor, like an Eastern European name. No, maybe both.
Igor's Russian, but Ivor is Welsh. Yeah.
And what was the third band?
Libertines, the second album.
The second album. I can't remember which. Death on the
Well, it was
Stairs,
one of them where it was one of them. If that that's first album. If that came up, I'd be laughing because most of them were Pointless. There was only like 3 or 4 on each that scored.
What do you reckon would be Pointless for this? Jeweler's Hands would be Pointless. Fire in the Flood might be Pointless based off the.
Fire in the Flood, I think, would be Pointless.
My Propeller might be. It's a single though, isn't it? But who remembers that? Who remembers because they only ask 100 people, right? So how many? 100 people, average people on the street are going to go, yes, My Propeller. Like you'd have to get the one fan. But then if you get the one fan that knows My Propeller, he probably knows Jeweler's Hands.
You'll have all the others as well. Yes, fucked.
But then it wouldn't be a topic, would it, if there wasn't a Pointless answer? Because that would.
Well, it's surprising how many Pointless answers there are. When they had Only Fools and Horses was the final round, and it was the title of any episode. And the one where he falls through the bar, that episode was Pointless. Like it was just like, hang on, that's the most famous one. The one with the chandeliers.
Overplayed.
That was Pointless. It's like, so I'm starting to think people just don't know.
If you said to me what's the most overplayed British comedy clip ever, I'd say either Faulty Towers, German episode, or
not even the best bit in Faulty Towers.
Oh no, God no. No, it never is it? It's like people go the pinnacle of. I heard someone. I was watching something the other day, and someone said the pinnacle of The Office was the dance or whatever, and I was like, no, it's not.
No. I mean, the pinnacle of The Office is the training episode. I mean, that's him getting the guitar out. That's better. That's funnier than the dance.
There's a lot, I guess. But
I think there's been a rape
training episode, or Brent's sales training speech episode is also a classic.
Either of the training type ones. Yeah. Right, it is now the time of the show where Dan has enlisted the aid of AI to help him write a description for the next episode. Well, to write a description for the next episode. It's not, I don't think it's helping Matt now, is it? Will we get a cat mention this week?
Well, Nick, I wanted to mix it up this week because this is a bit of a weird one because it's a Arctic Monkeys doing a cover of a song. So I didn't want to just get the AI instruction to just write me an introduction to Revel by Arctic Monkeys. I thought I'd better give it all the information. So I said, write me an introduction to the song Red Right Hand by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, but the cover version by Arctic Monkeys. And then I gave it the lyrics, and it said, will there be a cat? Will that have thrown up a different animal? Who knows? Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your hats and buckle up for a musical journey into the shadowy realms of the Arctic Monkeys cover of Red Right Hand by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. This isn't your ordinary stroll through town. It's a trip to the edge where secrets lie and the viaduct looms like a bird of doom, shifting and cracking under the weight of anticipation. As you traverse past the square, past the bridge, beware of the gathering storm and the tall, handsome man. He'll wrap you in his arms, but don't be fooled, for hidden in his coat is a red right hand that holds more than meets the eye. Fear not, here he comes, traversing through ghettos, casting a shadow wherever he stands. But beware, for he ain't what he seems. He's a ghost, he's a god, he's a man, he's a guru. So as the Arctic Monkeys breathe new life into this dark and mysterious anthem, brace yourselves for a musical experience that will leave you questioning reality and peering over your shoulders long after the song ends.
Ooh, excited.
Yeah, captured what I'd say. Arctic Monkeys do breathe life into an old classic.
I think they do. It's my favourite version of this song.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? It is a really cool cover to just do your own thing with it as well. And ironically, probably like one of the most upbeat songs of this era in terms of like a rock song.
Really
apart from Pretty Visitors aside, you know. But yeah. Looking forward to that because it'd be a bit of a different episode. We'll probably throw in some other stuff because it's a cover and we can't go into too much. I think when we did Baby I'm Yours, we put 2 episodes together actually, didn't we? But this one feels like a bit different, doesn't it?
I think we've got a live performance of this and stuff, and there's loads of other versions of it, and the song's like embedded in popular culture now as well.
There's a Zane Lowe clip I want to find about it as well. So yeah, there's plenty to be going at.
Excellent. Well, we will be back next week with episode 11 of Series 3, which will be Red Right Hand, as just mentioned. Don't forget to have a look in the episode description. You can find links to all our social media pages and give us a follow, like, rate, review, subscribe, and all that. And you can find our subscriber stuff.
Well, on the subscriber stuff, you'll notice there's a video in our bank here that I haven't used yet. And it's because I can't, I'll reveal why soon in a moment to the subscribers, but I can't play it in the main pod. Because it would be pointless. But if you're a subscriber, there's a little treat for you after this as a video. So there you go.
Treat, excellent. Right, are we gonna play out with it for the subscriber? No, everyone else will just.
No, it'll just be in our post-show chat that we do. We'll play it there.
Excellent, cool. Right, in that case, should we say goodbye to the nice people, Dan?
The freeloaders.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye,
fucking freeloaders.
Don't Believe the Hype is hosted and produced weekly by Nick Lee and Dan Holt. Music used in the titles is royalty-free music courtesy of Les FM. Don't forget to subscribe on your podcast player of choice to be notified every Wednesday when a new episode is released. And if you want to help us out further, be sure to like and review to help make us more visible to like-minded souls. We will see you next week with more of the same.